It's like to scare people. I'll call the May 18th meeting of the West Des Moines City Council to order. Invite you all to stand to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, welcome everybody. Please sign in.
5 members present.
Ryan, have there been any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Your Honor.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as distributed?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, we're going to go on to items 1A and B. Item 1A is the Emergency Medical Services Week proclamation, May 17th to the 23rd. And item 1B is the National Public Works Week, May 17th to the 23rd as well. So I am going to read both of these proclamations, then we're going to get the groups up front, assuming we have some groups here to take a picture, and then we'll move on to Citizens Forum after that.
Maybe we don't have groups for these.
No groups? Okay. Well, in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the proclamations. There's going to be no picture, and we're going to move on to Citizens Forum. Okay. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public safety function providing life-saving care to our community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves survival and recovery outcomes for those experiencing sudden illness or injury. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the EMS systems encompasses first responders, EMTs, paramedics, emergency dispatchers, firefighters, nurses, physicians, and other out-of-hospital care providers who dedicate thousands of hours to specialized training and continuing education. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designated Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, I, Russ Trimble, Mayor of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to the 23rd, 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Okay, our next proclamation, item 1B, is National Public Works Week. Whereas public works provided in our community are an integral part of citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of and understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as sewers, streets, and highways, public buildings, and solid waste collections. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas the quality of effectiveness of these facilities as well as their planning, design, construction is vitally dependent upon the efforts of skilled public works officials, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now, therefore, I, Russ Trimble, Mayor of the City of West Des Moines, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th, 2026 as National Public Works Week in the City of West Des Moines, and I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Thank you to our public works employees, as well as our emergency medical service providers and workers. We appreciate everything that you guys do, and we'll be celebrating the week with you. Moving on to item 2, Citizens Forum. Anybody that'd like to address the council on any item that is not either part of public hearings or new business, item 6 or 7, this is your time to come to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record. We ask that you keep it civil and respectful into 5 minutes or under. Robert, come on up. You can get us started.
Thank you.
Name and address for the record, my friend.
Yes, Robert Greenway, 211 Northwest Hayes Street in Greenfield. Or I getting
All right.
static about that, by the way.
Well, you've got the floor.
Thank you. The last time I was here, I apologize for my lack of knowledge of how we were funding the county-wide EMS building. It will be a revenue bond, so that really does not go to vote across the county. That was my misconception. The EMS funding on that was approved, site was approved. I think they're going for an $8.5 million, but they proposed 6.9. The reason I'm trying to update you all is because local option sales tax is 55 to 60% generated from the West Des Moines area, okay? That was done by state years ago on valuation.
We know that very well.
Thank you. I just making sure you all know I know, okay? That's one reason why I'm a candidate for this area, okay? There will be no vote, like I said, it was approved. The county EMS in Adel is extremely outdated, and it didn't take hardly any time to walk in it to see that. I wasn't really aware of the lack of outdated. I did have a conversation with a physician's assistant in the rural Dallas County area. I asked him to rate, we were talking about different things, and I asked for his time about that. The EMS county service on a 1 to 10 basis on response, caliber, professionalism, et cetera. He says, I'll give him a 9. And then I asked him, had he been ever in their facilities? He said, no. Most people haven't. I haven't until last 60 days. So it is overdue. Anyway, I understood from Tim just a little while ago that 9.2% of your budget goes to your EMS. I have no idea what the EMS deal is. This is just an update. I don't think I need to answer any questions, but I will take one if you want one.
Okay, thank you, Robert, for being here. Any questions for Robert? All right, well, thank you for being here, and thanks for your report. Appreciate it. Okay, anybody else for Citizens Forum in the audience before I go online? Okay, anybody online for Citizens Forum, please hit *6, not #6, *6 to unmute yourself. Give us your name and address for the record. Is there anybody online for Citizens Forum? Going once? Going twice? Okay, Citizens Forum is closed. We're now going to move on to item 3, Mayor Council Manager Report, Other Entities Update. And we're going to start with the Other Entities Update, with item 3A with Tiffany Tauschek and the Greater Des Moines Partnership. So if you want to come up, Tiffany.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council and city staff. Thanks so much for having us. I'm Tiffany Tauschek. I'm the president and CEO of the Greater Des Moines Partnership, and very pleased tonight to be joined by 3 of our partnership board members that are seated here. We have Greg Blythe, who is the president and CEO of IMT Insurance, Chris Costa, president and CEO of NAB Properties and partnership board chair, and Kyle Gamble, president and CEO of Hubble Realty. So thank you all for being here. Our message tonight essentially is one of gratitude and also to give you a quick update on some things happening throughout the region. You, of course, are very familiar with great things happening in the city of West Des Moines, and I want you to know that we very much appreciate all that you're doing for the city of West Des Moines, because we know and understand what goes well in West Des Moines echoes through the entire region. So really, really appreciate all that you're doing. As a reminder, the Greater Des Moines Partnership is the regional economic development organization. We focus on economic.
Is anybody there?
Hold on one second, Tiffany. Yep, Amy, we're here. I just asked if there was anybody for Citizens Forum online and didn't hear anybody, so we closed Citizens Forum.
I'm sorry, sticky fingers today
Okay.
on the phone.
Well, I'll tell you.
All right, talk to you the next time.
All right. Thank you for understanding, Amy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. Go ahead, Tiffany. I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
So we focus on regional economic development and talent development with public policy as a supporting strategy to drive that work forward. We very much appreciate the City of West Des Moines and your continued engagement and partnership with the Greater Des Moines Partnership. There are about 400 investors in our nonprofit organization. We represent 7,200 regional chamber members, in part because of the great relationships and affiliations that we have with a number of chambers, including, of course, your West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce. So about our region, we represent 940,000 residents, our combined statistical area, or CSA. It's a number we're keeping very close track of, in part because once we hit 1 million population, we will instantly be eligible for additional economic development projects, which is a good thing for all of us in the cities and counties that we represent. With those affiliate chambers of commerce, here is the list of those 25 affiliates, again, noting that we work very closely with West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce is doing great things. Collectively, we are the second largest regional chamber of commerce in the entire country. That's helpful as we're looking to get things done, especially on a federal level. You know and are familiar that every 5 years we go out and fundraise for our next 5 years of funding for our organization, and we are in the midst of preparing for that next round for 2028 through 2032. We build all of our strategies and strategic plans outside in, bottom up. So we talk to you, our investors, hear what's important to you, and build that into the plan as we continue to drive forward as a region. These are our one-year priorities, so 2026 priorities, no surprise, continuing to focus on economic development, talent development, quality of life. We've added in AI and innovation, as well as positioning our region for the future and storytelling. This is a fun stat that we've shared nationally recently because it's something that we can all be really proud of. And again, West Des Moines has been a really great leader in the space of making things happen and getting deals done. We have $5.7 billion in capital investment and economic development activity underway right now in our region, and another $2 billion in the queue. For a region our size, this is very, very strong and a number that we can all be very proud of. Going to turn it over to Stacy Lavon now, who is our SVP of Economic Development, for a quick ECDev update.
Good evening, everyone. And just as we, to kick off, just want to do a reminder from the economic development team, we really have two main goals. One is help the local businesses that are here already when they need to grow and expand, and staying in contact with them and creating an environment where they can succeed. And number two, identifying and attracting businesses who are not within our region today or within the state of Iowa to the region to support our economy and help grow the economy. Since we were formed in '99, we have assisted 787 very different projects for a $16.5 billion investment and over 39,000 jobs. On this next slide, the logos that you see are companies that we assisted in 2025. And we have several that we're already working on in 26 that we will be releasing soon and sharing that information. It is important that we talk about the existing businesses who are here today because we know that 80% of business growth comes from our local businesses. Our economy is impacted by how our local businesses are doing. We are consistently, in conjunction with your economic development team, Ryan and Brad, out talking to local companies and learning what they're seeing in their industry and how we can assist them. From a business recruitment side, we do a lot of our recruitment efforts in conjunction with the state of Iowa through the Iowa Economic Development Authority, but we have many activities that we do and outreaches that we do to promote the region for economic development. We know this is important because there are over 10,000 economic development organizations going after the same 100 to 200 major projects each year. As we are doing our recruitment efforts, we really focus on 6 key industries: advanced manufacturing, insurance and financial services, agricultural innovation, logistics, data centers, and technology. We work with companies that are outside of these industries as well, but when we are doing our targeting and really using data to help drive our work, these are the industries we focus on. In 25, we did 27 national marketing trips through trade shows and conferences, but also we completed 6 metro area recruitment trips, and that's where we go into a metropolitan area, have 12 to 15 meetings with companies or key site selectors who are doing business and talking with them one-on-one across the table for about 45 minutes. Our leads in 2025, 83% of our leads were locally generated, with 17% of our leads coming from the state of Iowa. If you look over the 10-year period, it's about the same, with 19% of our leads coming from the state, 68% direct from the partnership, and 13% from our local partners, whether that be communities or real estate entities here. Our lead generations in 2025 came from 20 states and 11 countries. And then finally, just a reminder of how regional our work is and how regional our region is in the metropolitan area. When you look at the commuting statistics, 30% of your residents who are employed currently work within the city of West Des Moines. Of your people who are employed in West Des Moines, 15.6% of them actually live in the city of West Des Moines. So it's those commuting patterns that happen across the entire region. Tiffany?
Thank you. Thanks, Stacy. So wanted to touch on talent development really quickly, but please feel free to jump in if you have questions. As mentioned, talent development is another core area of focus at the partnership. We have a number of programs that we have to help with K-12 interns, current workforce, retaining, and recruiting workforce. So a number of those initiatives are noted on the screen. We also have a DSM USA welcome guide, and I was looking through this today and just want to share with you, West Des Moines is very well represented in the welcome guide. So some examples of West Des Moines companies, organizations, and places noted in the welcome guide: Microsoft, Jordan House, Historic Valley Junction, West Glen Town Center, West Des Moines Community Schools, Pulse Dance Fitness Studio, West Des Moines Leadership Academy, St. Kilda, and Walnut Woods State Park. So just to name a few. So thank you for, again, having great representation in this. We utilize this guide as we're looking to attract talent, as well as those talent that have just moved here. We share this with them as a way to inform them about all of the great things, or a few of the great things that are happening throughout our region, including, of course, in West Des Moines. We have a number of DSM MVPs. So think of these folks as super ambassadors. As we are looking to attract talent, we are connecting them with these MVPs. Or if someone's just moved here and they want to get more connected in the community, we can connect them with some of our MVPs based off of what they're interested in, including where they'd like to live. So happy to share with you that we have 5 West Des Moines residents who are DSM MVPs. So again, you are very well represented in our MVP program. We, of course, want to continue to do what we can to drive the region forward. And one thing that we heard starting about 3 years ago was this eagerness to connect rural, urban, and suburban leaders. And Mayor Trimble has been very helpful in helping us shape a number of our initiatives, including our regional summit, related to and connecting those leaders from across the region. So really appreciate your candid input, which helped guide us in getting to that point. And also want to call out that at the regional summit last year, and thank you for those of you who attended, we were able to share the really great news that we had 2 different West Des Moines companies who received Economic Development Awards, so Economic Impact Awards. So again, another example of great ways to share and tell the stories of good things happening in West Des Moines and throughout the region. We also continue to focus on small business support as one of our economic and talent drivers, and have a number of initiatives focused on the small business support work. A number of small businesses in West Des Moines are involved in those programs, which I'll touch on more here in just a moment. Another piece of our work is state policy and federal policy. So from a state policy perspective and federal, just want to give a shout out and thanks to Councilman Hudson as well as Jamie, who've been very involved in serving in our Government Policy Council, our GPC work, and helping us put together our legislative agendas for 2026. As you know, we had some featured priorities and worked very closely with a number of you, as well as a number of your businesses and leaders throughout the region, to continue to advocate for a pro-growth agenda. We know that there was a bit of a mixed bag in the outcomes, and that said, very, very proud of the collaborative effort that we all took to do what we can to protect pro-growth, and that includes for businesses, cities, counties, and all of our organizations throughout the region. From a federal policy agenda, we'll be headed to DMDC here shortly. For those of you who haven't signed up yet, we'd love to have you. We'll be advocating for the policies noted here on the screen. DMDC is a great opportunity for us to, I hadn't seen this slide yet, it's a great opportunity to connect with our congressional delegation and their staff and drive forward the federal legislative priorities that we have as a region with one voice. One of those has been Future 435, and thank you for all of your work and support on getting that through the state. 20 years, it took us 20 years, but we got it done, and now we're headed to DC with that. And then also want to touch on just overall regional momentum. We have a number of rankings, of course. I know that you all celebrate the rankings as well as we do. We believe that that's one of the roles that we play, is to celebrate the good news and the good things that are happening in our region. Just want to call out that our metro was named #2 top metro for economic development projects, and that was just a recent ranking. So again, that's a true partnership. And again, thank you to Ryan, Brad, and your team for the great work that they continue to do. Our employment and population growth also continues to be strong. In fact, we're outpacing our peers across the Midwest, which is great. We want to see those numbers continue to go up. So doing well there. A number of events and activations that our team is working on. And we're very pleased that we're able to highlight some of your businesses and some of your locations throughout this work. We have one of your local businesses is featured here in the picture for the Downtown Farmers Market. Our regional activations, we've had hide and seek ornaments you keep, as well as the balloon, the great balloon hunt, and then World Food and Music Festival. So want to call out that we have had in 2025, 16 of your local businesses that were involved in some of these activations, and really pleased to say that next, for this year, 2026, 39 of the businesses are from West Des Moines. So kudos, and again, just shows the really great environment and business environment that you have here. And then calling out communications and marketing. You all know that storytelling is something that's really important to us, and again, we're looking to say and share some good news. We all need some more good news. So our team is dedicated to helping you lift up the good work that's happening. We have a new Greater Des Moines Storytelling Hub that's dedicated to doing that. So if there are stories you'd like us to help share, let us know. And just want to call out that this is a snapshot of some of the benefits that you receive as an investor of the Greater Des Moines Partnership, as a city investing in the organization. Just in closing, before opening it up for questions, want to say again, thank you for all you do, not only for the city of Des Moines, for the overall region. We very much appreciate you. And Mayor, thank you for the regional hat that you wear consistently, in addition to the city of West Des Moines hat. It is very much valued and appreciated. So thank you for that. Some quick calls to action, and which no surprise there, we just want you to get as engaged as you'd like to be. And with that, I'm happy to answer questions. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Tiffany or Stacy, or for that matter, for Kyle or Chris or Greg?
Yeah, just briefly, Mayor. Tiffany, thank you. Stacy, thank you both for being here. And gentlemen, thank you also for taking time out of obviously very busy schedules to be here to show your support for the partnership. I just want to say thank you to the partnership for the work that you've identified here, but most recently, the work that you did on the property tax bill. I know there was a lot of good and productive conversations that came of that. I think we still have some work we would like to accomplish relative to the economic development side. But nonetheless, I know you all spent a lot of time up there. And in the same here, I know many of you spent a lot of good time up there. We appreciate the collaboration because it's in our interest to create a pathway for folks to grow, develop, create jobs in this community. And that was the kind of North Star, if you will, the pole star of the work that we undertook. So I just wanted to call that out. I know a lot of time and effort went into that. The governor signed it today, so it seemed pretty relevant. But thank you for all you do for the region.
Thank you. Thank you. And as noted, Councilman McKinney was up there just as much as our team was. So thank you for your continued work.
It was a team effort, no doubt about that. And, you know, our folks from the legislative committee that we have, and all of you guys, as well as the League of Cities, and a whole number of folks that were engaged in conversation up there, productive dialogue that, you know, really steered the outcome of the legislation. So
Mr. McKinney had, I think, 12 miles of steps, just all circular around the rotunda.
we're back and
right?
forth.
Just back or back, yeah.
With his AirPods in. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he does that too. Any other questions for Tiffany or Stacy?
Yeah, Tiffany, I just want to say thank you. Stacy, thank you. And I feel different than I did 7 years ago when I think I first heard a Greater Des Moines Partnership presentation. And I think it's a good different because I feel like the entire region is ready to kind of come together a little bit more. The state gave us some struggles this year, and I appreciate your advocacy, as Councilman McKinney said, because I think we have the opportunity to capture some magic as a region. And I say this is not just the chair of Catch Des Moines, because I see all the amazing things that Trina and her team are doing out there to bring events not just to West Des Moines, but the entire region. And if we can capture not just business, if we can capture job growth, if we can capture housing, if we can capture transportation, 435, that's great news. Do we have a day when we will be relabeled? Is there a date that it's in mind?
Well, it needs to go through Congress first.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Congress works like that. I know it's going to be
Yes.
soon.
We cleared one hurdle at the state, now we got to
Yeah.
clear a hurdle at the federal government.
Are they even open yet?
435 people plus 100 people in the Senate, they can figure this out.
Absolutely. That's why we named it 435, right?
Absolutely, there you go.
Strategic.
In any case, all of these things coming together can make a giant difference. And the reason I say it feels different is because working with other metropolitan communities, as I know you do every day, as I know all of us do every day, if we can make this happen, I think Central Iowa can catch some magic. We'll break that 1 million mark. And I think sweet, sweet things can happen. So to that end, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you all. Thanks to the entire board and all of our partners as we're all in this together. Appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you, Councilman. Okay, any other questions? Councilwoman Elliott.
Hello.
Hello, good to see you.
First of all, the timing of this is just fantastic for me. Being the newest council member, I am hitting the ground running. What I really do appreciate about your presentation is the importance of the work that you do, and then our business partners that are here today. You know, for me being new, all of my experience and knowledge has been education on the school board. So for me, it is very imperative and important that I know and learn and appreciate the connection of your organization and our business community. I will continue to grow, and I am very fortunate to have the opportunity to have so many people, even my fellow council members, my mayor, that are so willing to help me become acclimated as soon as possible. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. And I am looking forward to my time on the council and doing whatever I can to continue the great progress of the city of West Des Moines.
Excellent. Congrats and welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, anybody else? Questions? Councilman Trevilian.
I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done. I know a few years ago, I didn't feel like it was, like the partnership was really working in concert with West Des Moines, and I think that has changed. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. And credit goes to those of you who brought that up to us, and you're fantastic staff.
Well, you guys listened. You went on the listening tour. You listened to everything that was said, and you proactively made a change. And it's definitely been felt and been noticed. And so we appreciate everything that the partnership's been doing, working with us, working with everybody else in the region on economic development. Economic development is not an easy job at all. And to that end, I've got a question. We talk about 83% of the leads are local leads. What do we mean by that? Is that a company has contacted one of our economic development professionals, or is it that we've got a business within the city of West Des Moines that has contacted you about growing and expanding, or what is that exactly?
It's a combination of both. It's both existing business and those looking to come in. We would say, I would say the new businesses looking to come in probably make up a third or more
Okay.
of those. Each year, last year we had 140 leads, and we ran the numbers, and
You can get the data.
I will get that to you, because now I'm going to misquote a number, but it was a good number. It was over that third. It
I
was
mean, this
probably
is
50.
such a hard game, right? To try to bring companies in from outside and have them locate here, and then, of course, we all compete for those companies. But it's just not easy, and you guys do a great job staying connected, staying connected with the site selectors and working with the state of Iowa to bring prospects here. And I love the change that you've made on sending out the emails. I know we've had to tell elected officials, You don't have to act on this. It's not falling on your shoulders. We've copied in your economic development people. But it's nice to be able to see the leads that are generated through the partnership and that come to us. We weren't seeing that before. So we weren't sure like how many leads were being generated there. But it's not easy. I mean, this is like cold calling people for business, right? I mean, you call on 100 different businesses and maybe one of them shakes loose and comes here. But really appreciate all your efforts on that, everything that you guys are doing, so.
Thank you, appreciate that. But we'll get you those staff.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions for Tiffany or Stacy? No? Okay, thank you guys all for being here. Thank you to our CEOs for being here. Appreciate all that you guys do for us as well. So don't feel like you have to stay. I know you guys have all got busy lives and other things to get onto, families to get back to. So
Storms to avoid.
storms to avoid, hail damage to avoid. Take care. Thanks for being here. Okay, moving on to Mayor Council Manager Report. I will start down to my right with City Manager Tom Hadden. Any report tonight?
No report, Your Honor.
All right, short and sweet. Moving on to Councilman Greg Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, let me get my list. So, just a couple of things that have been happening. We had our students here a couple weeks ago. It was really super cool to have the students here. Really appreciated their dedication to come to a city council meeting on Monday night. And I was glad that they chose to make this their choice because they have a bunch of different choices on things they can do as the sixth graders. And the 10 of them were like, I'm interested in the city. I was like, oh, that sounds great. Not a lot of folks are interested in the city, so it was great to have them. But I kind of withheld a little bit of report in the interest of time and getting them home before bedtime. So a couple of finance administration subcommittees we have had, and a couple of those are going to be coming up tonight because a few F&A meetings ago, Christine shared a little bit about the community block fund grants that we'll be chatting about and are on the agenda a little bit later today. A good portion will be devoted to improving our human services building, which is really exciting because there's a lot of amazing things that happen in our human services building. I know a couple of folks up here who have been on the human services board before they even joined city council. So you all know, and everybody in the room knows that our human services building continues to, serve. Kind of right there in the name. We have some budget amendments on the docket tonight that we looked at FNA too, but I believe we'll chat about them later, so I won't belabor the point at this point. Looked at a couple of smaller annexations out off of Mill Civic, just a couple of lots. A couple lots who are excited to join in with the city water, West Des Moines water. It's good water. A couple of big reasons why we have a AAA bond rating. I know that Tim has talked about this at length, but so has Suzanne from PFM. But when we looked at why we have a AAA bond rating, it kind of came down to a couple of key factors that helped us out a lot. First thing, a very strong reserve balance. Number two, strong management and policies at the city level, and a strong local economy. So all of those things together really help buttress our AAA bond rating from both S&P and Moody's. And as we know, as we will always speak to, I'll tell anybody that it gets us low interest rates when we buy stuff at the city. So that's F&A stuff. Library. So I have the liaison for the library board. It's good news that we're approaching the end of the fiscal year and the library budget is on track. I know that's not our purview directly, but they are in a good place budget-wise. If you didn't get a chance to see the Central Iowa Libraries map, all the libraries on a really, really creative and artistic map, it's really, really cool. And of course, the library is going to be hopping this summer because they get a lot of usage while kids are out of school. I also serve as the board liaison for the Parks and Recreation Board. A couple of announcements that have been exciting over these past few weeks. I was playing some tennis with my kid over at Valley View Park. There was a tennis court open. Glad I didn't try to play pickleball because it would not have been open. There was probably a line there, and there was not a line at the bathroom because the Valley View Park pickleball courts, the new restrooms are open, which is exciting. New playground at Holiday Park softball is officially open. We had a huge season at the Recplex once again, hundreds of thousands of people coming in, and summer park season will be upon us. So as everybody goes outdoors. Ryan, am I right to say that the art is still around here on the campus right now? If you get a chance to take a stroll around the pond, the art on the campus exhibit is live. This is the 14th year we've done this. It brings incredible regional talent right to the heart of West Des Moines. I see right outside this window there's a cool looking guitar sculpture. It is not typically there. Take a quick stroll out to the city council meeting, assuming it's not hailing. That's why I should probably end this report more quicker. But I do want to compliment Parks and Rec for pool seasoning, which is opening up pretty soon. And we are staffed up. It is enormous to get lifeguards. While other cities are scrambling, we do our work early, and we have a great working environment at both Holiday Park and at Valley View Park, our two aquatic centers. So the fact that we are staffed up and ready to go is exciting. Other thing for Parks and Rec, we're going to be working on the First Street Trail connection. It is commenced, and later on this summer, we'll be able to connect 1st/63rd Street all the way to Raccoon River Park. Is that correct, Ryan? Well, or is it just the first phase of the trail? That will happen in 2027. 2027, okay. But we are getting started with the work, and so the full connection will be done next year, excuse me. While we were talking and celebrating Public Works Week, tomorrow, festivities from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Right, Mr. Rank? Yes. I'm told there will be inflatables and big trucks and balloons and more big trucks and ice cream trucks, which is the best one of all. Do want to thank our public service and public works folks, because you had put a great quote at the bottom of the advertisement for Public Works Week celebration, which is tomorrow from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Down to the Public Works Building at 8850 Grand Avenue. You put a great quote at the bottom, and it said, the roots of service run deep in public works. And I think that's a great quote, and it's incredibly true in West Des Moines. So come and celebrate and see some cool toys that we have in West Des Moines. And finally, as I end my report, I do want to issue some congratulations. Half of Waukee High School is filled with West Des Moines residents. They just graduated either yesterday or Saturday, I can't remember. So congratulations to all the West Des Moines residents, and of course all the Waukee residents too, because it is graduation season. I know we have graduates coming out of Dowling Catholic High School. They're graduating in a couple days. And of course, the illustrious Valley High School will be celebrating its graduation right over here on Sunday night. So congratulations to all those, in fact, in the entire metro, state, country, and world who are graduating from high school. That concludes my report, Mr.
That was a phenomenal report. Thank you, Councilman Hudson. All right, Councilman McKinney, you have that to follow.
Can't believe I have to follow that. All right. Yeah, I won't go there. All right, two quick items here. We've had several conversations on the dais, or at least constituents that have showed up with concerns about electric bikes. And so I just wanted to brief the council here and those that might be listening that the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO, had a meeting last week where this topic was brought up. And it sounds like the city of Ankeny has adopted an ordinance. The ordinance is consistent with the, I'll call it the Police Chiefs Association, that has developed a model policy. Ankeny adopted it. It sounds like they made a few tweaks to it. Waukee attempted to adopt it roughly 2 weeks ago, and there was some significant amount of pushback. So Waukee has, as a result of that, taken the pushback, the feedback, back to the Police Chiefs Association, at which point that'll be shared with the MPO and then shared broadly, and hopefully that is something that we can then, I mean, we can do it on our own, but I mean, we might as well also take some feedback from what others are doing, and hopefully we could have more of a cohesive approach across the metro as opposed to a patchwork of, well, if I cross the border and enter into Waukee, what's the difference? So anyway, that's a quick update on the electric bikes, and as soon as we have some more from the MPO, I'm happy to bring it here, and I know Tom is also involved.
Yeah, and that's consistent. We were talking about a model bicycle ordinance as well. We were hoping that the state would pass a law, because exactly what you're talking about, not having a patchwork where you go to ride a bike in Ankeny and here are the laws, and then you ride it in West Des Moines and the laws are different, and we didn't want to also do something that got us preempted by the legislature who didn't like what we passed either. So that kind of approach makes sense. I appreciate you reporting on that tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the MPO brings forward after looking what Ankeny's put in place and what Waukee is looking at putting in place. I know that Ankeny looked at putting in place like a speed limit. That was the gist of the entire article that Councilman Lotz had sent a couple of us in regards to what New York City had done and why that failed, because it's just the enforcement of, I mean, a police officer sitting and clocking 13-year-old kids on bikes. It's just not very practical. So hopefully they can kind of, work on that and figure out something, a good model ordinance that we can look at adopting, like you said, so it's not patchwork. But anyway.
Yep.
Thanks for
No,
that.
absolutely. No, I think it sounds like it'll be relatively soon. This is not like a year or two in the process. It sounds like it's a week or so in the process. And then the last item, I just, most of you know that I have had a lot of interest in figuring out our zoning ordinance relative to, we adopt a comprehensive plan. What is the ordinance going to look like that we marry up to it? So today we had a development and planning subcommittee meeting where it was the primary topic. We talked about it for well over an hour. And there will be a workshop. I think it's the first meeting in June. And so this will help us, we adopted the comp plan. This is how we are going to implement the zoning within each one of those, I'll call it classifications. And this one we're focusing on first is the residential area. So I want to say thank you first to Tom. This is, something that I've been very interested in. We talked about it at the February budget presentation, and this is on track to, it feels like, get implemented yet this year, hopefully this fall. And I want to thank Lynn and her team also, because we talked through some very significant impacts, and it is going to be, I think there's a reason there's a piece of paper on your on the dais here that says, "Do you want to have dinner at our future council meetings?" Because I think the workshop might take a while because of just all of the intricate issues that we're going to have to work through, and it will definitely change the direction of our community in terms of what folks are going to be able to do on their property. So anyway, that's my report.
Well, I appreciate that. Appreciate Lynn and her team bringing that forward and all the work that's gone into that. Appreciate Tom working to move that forward as well. As I think I told you guys before, when Councilman Trevilian and I got elected back in 2009, we came in here in 2010, and that was one of the first things we started tackling was the comprehensive plan. It's something you should be doing every 5 to 10 years, and it hadn't been looked at for a while, and we had meetings that went 10, 11 o'clock at night and then had executive sessions afterwards. So bring it on. We're ready to discuss the zoning to put in place with the comprehensive plan. But I think you're right. It's probably going to be a pretty robust discussion and lots of decisions that will have to be made. But I look forward to that. So, okay, Councilwoman Elliott, any report?
Yeah. I'm laughing because I have all these papers, and I'm gonna
Okay, Councilman Trevilian, any report? No, just kidding.
I'm going to try to highlight. Well, thank you for appointing me as the DART commissioner, because I have attended my very first commissioners meeting, and I wanted to let everyone know that DART is prepared to launch their Reimagine campaign. It will launch on June the 14th. But there will be various open houses in our community at large. For West Des Moines specifically, on June the 4th, from 5 to 7 at the West Des Moines Library, the open house will be geared towards announcing the overall strategy, all of the new routes, and specifically the routes that are going to impact the residents in West Des Moines. Basically, I'm going to say they took 20 odd routes that are around the city, and they have condensed them down to 10. But they are strategizing that these new routes will go to businesses that maybe had not been there on the route before. The whole intent is to get the buses to the people that are most in need and are using public transportation the most. So more to come, but if you attend the open house on June the 4th at the West Des Moines Library, you will be enlightened to what those changes are. Also from June the 14th till June the 30th, free rides. So anyone who wants to ride the bus, it will be free from the 14th through the 30th. I'm gonna try to go through this real quick. Let's see. As part of the Community Engagement Institute, along with two of the attendees that are part of the program, we toured to get an update and enlightened with our police department, with Westcom, our fire department, and EMS. And myself, I was over the top to be able to get into a fire truck with the helmet. But it really speaks to the admiration that I have for our firefighters, for the work done by our police department. Touring Westcom facility was very, very enlightening and impactful. Let's see, Kevin and I attended the first farmers market, which included the Cinco de Mayo celebration, and there was a crowning of the king and the queen. I just want to make note that our partners in the business community, this was sponsored by the Greater Iowa Credit Union as far as Cinco de Mayo. So my hat's off to them and to thank them. Also, the Historical Valley Junction Foundation. I attended a meeting, thank you, Steve, and I was enlightened to some of the things that go on at the Historical Valley Junction is in terms of the different programs, the different events. So I appreciate that. And I just want to publicly thank Google Fiber, they're one of our sponsors, and also, of course, West Bank. They are the sponsors of Music in the Junction. I think it's important to acknowledge our different businesses that do support not only the Historical Valley Junction, our farmers market, but then their support of West Des Moines. Let's see, I attended the Human Rights Commission meeting. I also, the Community Engagement Institute, we also had the opportunity to have Brian come and speak to us as far as our engineering department. Thank you, Brian, great job. And of course, Ryan with Parks and Rec. We were at the Rexplex. For me, by attending these weekly meetings, it gives me an opportunity to hit the ground running in terms of learning and appreciating our various directors of our various departments. So I'm calling out Brian and Ryan because they're sitting here and I see them. I will try to make sure that I do that. We have one more meeting next week, and it'll be here at City Hall, and you're going to be here.
Yep.
Yeah, handing out the cupcakes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hand out treats.
Eating the cupcakes. One
That-
of
Eating
that
the
too.
cupcakes. It'll end the way that it started. But I think, I cannot go without mentioning, I was asked to give the introduction to the West Des Moines sixth grade festival choir. I did introduce, they gave me 5 minutes. I tried to do it in 4 minutes. Please plug up your ears, officer, because I left Valley Staples Center. I was able to get to the police station in probably 4 minutes. But I was very honored to participate and being there and honoring our police officers in the memorial service. It was very, very impactful. It ended with the picnic, which I had an opportunity to go around and meet with some of our citizens. Also, bouncy houses, the kids love that. Keep having the bouncy house every year. But bottom line, it was an opportunity, though, to show appreciation for our police officers and the great work that they do. So I thank you guys. And thank you for not giving me a ticket. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman. I can see that you absolutely have hit the ground running and are absorbing all of the materials and delving into it all. You gave a great report on DART. You're doing a great job representing us there, and appreciate you doing that. So, all right. Councilman Trevilian, any report?
I got a couple of things.
All right.
I just want to update everybody. We had the community compliance meeting prior to the council meeting, and City Detect, which is the software we're going to be using for community compliance. I was going to say code enforcement, community compliance violations. That hopefully is going to be signed, and the contract will be signed in a couple of weeks, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that about the middle of July, that is going to be operational. And we should know within a few months of it, I would think, being implemented, if it's going to work the way we think it will. So
That's cool.
hopefully that's going to happen. Another thing that I learned, and I am going to be asking for a change to our ordinance. I learned that it's against code to have, well, I don't know what, 6 or 8 conduit pipes stacked in your front yard, but it is not against city ordinance to have a ditch open in your yard. Because there's a property down on 7th Street that has both. He's allowed to keep the ditch open because we don't have anything that says it's illegal. So I've asked Barabi to look into revising that, because to me, it doesn't make any sense to have an open trench that somebody has to look at and it can stay there, I guess, forever. So the last thing is, Gary Rank, come forward, please. I think everybody up here knows, but Gary Rank, who has been with the city of West Des Moines in what was Public Works, now we call it Public Services, for 25 years, and has been the Public Works Director for about the last 3 years, is retiring at the end of this month. Gary, it's been my pleasure to work with you for 25 years, because when I was at Waterworks, you know, we worked together, and then obviously with the council, and now as you being director. You've done a phenomenal job these 3 years. Congratulations on your retirement. You will be missed by, I won't say everybody, because I'm sure there's some people in your department that, but by us. Exactly. Everybody's got those. But you will be missed by me, and I think this entire council. You've done a phenomenal job. You jumped into those shoes, and whoever takes over, you've set the bar. So they've got to climb a ladder to exceed what you've done. So thank you very much for everything you've done these last 25 years for the city of West Des Moines.
And I thank you all for the time that I've been here. You know, it's bittersweet, I will say that. It's been a good career. It's been a good place to work. And, you know, I'll miss you all as well. It's my time.
Yep.
I hear you.
Thank you.
Well, you know, we had was art on the campus, and, you know, it was Sally Ortke's last one, so I did the same thing you just did here, but Sally hadn't announced that she was retiring. So I'm glad you actually just brought this up and not me. So I didn't out Gary on retiring here, like I did Sally, apparently. But Gary, I just would echo, I think all of us feel exactly the same way, and Councilman Trevelyan said it well. But, you know, when Brett left here, Brett had been here forever, and I know you had worked with him, but I thought, oh my goodness, we're losing a lot of institutional knowledge, and wow, how is this going to go? And Gary, you stepped up. You didn't even miss a beat. You kept everything going. And as I say about you guys over in Public Works / Public Services, you guys really burn the candle on both ends. I mean, you do everything, and you do it well. You have been a phenomenal director, and you will definitely be missed, but I'm also excited for you to have your time and have your retirement and enjoy life and not have to worry when it snows. So Gary, honestly, from the bottom of my heart and everybody up here, man, we're really going to miss you and really appreciate the job you did. You did a phenomenal job. So, all right,
I have
Councilman.
to add something about that. So when Gary gave me his letter, I put it on my desk and said, you may want to think about this. And so I'm glad you brought up Kevin, because it's happened really quickly. And I'm thinking we had another chance to honor him, and boom, it's here. So he doesn't like a lot of attention, and obviously, but he done a great job. He's got a great team, and we'll keep it going. So thank you.
Phenomenal job, Gary. Okay, Councilman Lotz.
I'll go, and I'll be very brief in my report. One of the things, Your Honor, that keeps coming up is from constituents is our addition of the flock cameras a few years back. And there's, I don't know where it comes from, but I'll call it some misinformation that gets passed around in the various social media areas and whatnot. So I just wanted to speak to that real quickly for everybody who's in the room or might be listening. When the city council adopted those cameras, I don't know, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, I have a software background, so I participated in the due diligence and the contract review and whatnot. And so I wanted to just talk about some of the protections that are in place for citizens real quick. Contractually with Flock, that data is deleted every 30 days. So when you drive by in front of Jordan Creek Mall and it takes a picture of your license plate, know that that picture will be gone. I drive by multiple times a day, so mine's always in there, right? Also, though, to take that the next step, there are access controls. So only specific officers get to have access. There's activity logging. So anytime somebody goes into that system and pulls down a log, that gets time stamped. Who did it, what happened, why they pulled that data down, all that stuff is logged. There's negative sharing provisions in there, so there's no fishing expeditions. So police can only go look for specific crimes or criminal activity, or if they've been contacted by the police department of another municipality, they can go look for information, but they're not out looking for, and they cannot go out and look for Doug's truck and find out what my pattern of life is. And then the last piece, and maybe the most important, is that the usage of this system is available for audit at any time. So if anybody wants to audit it, you can do that. Ultimately, I'll speak for myself and not the rest of the council, but with these protections in place, I felt like the biggest thing is I trust our police officers. I trust our department. I trusted Chief Scott back then. I trust Chief Bellamy now and all of the folks that work for the PD. And it occurs to me, if you don't trust the police department, then you probably shouldn't put these in place. But I think we have that, and I trust them to do the right thing with that technology. It has prevented some horrible crimes. We all know of a teenage girl who got kidnapped, and we found her in Tennessee, safe, and that was because of the Flock system. So as a public safety subcommittee chair, I just want to speak to that. Greg and I are always keeping an eye on these things, and so that's my report, Your Honor.
If I can just add one more thing, I think it's on June 5th, Councilman Lotz, I think we're having a discussion at our subcommittee meeting at 7 a.m. on that Friday morning. And one more thing to just bring to mind, because there are a couple of owl cameras out at Raccoon River Park. Those are not run by the Flock system. Those are city cameras run and maintained by the Parks and Recreation Department. Those are not cameras that are sending data to the Flock company. That is a separate thing. So I know it can be easy to conflate these two things, but they're different. The owl cameras in Raccoon River are different than the Flock cameras that Councilman Lotz was mentioning in our commercialized areas.
Well, I appreciate the report, very thorough report. And, we've discussed this a number of times. It's an important issue. We need to make sure that we maintain the privacy of our residents, which I believe the system does. But it is also a very, very valuable tool. We had talked a number of times, even when I first got elected, we talked about having the speed cameras and all that stuff. None of us were in favor of that. There was a due process issue involved with that we didn't like. And I'm just not in favor of those speed cameras personally. But these cameras, to Councilman Lotz's point, my gosh, I mean, I think we had a list of different crimes that were solved as result of these cameras being in place, and for us being able to solve those crimes that otherwise we wouldn't be able to be solved, and lives that have been saved in the case of Amber Alerts and whatnot because of these cameras as well. So
That chain of bank robbers coming up from down south.
Right.
Got them here.
And that's something that people that are concerned with the privacy don't even look at, don't even give any thought to. You go sit down and talk to a family member who got a loved one returned that they thought otherwise may have been killed as a result of these cameras and the technology and being able to patch in with other cameras and other police departments across the country. It is a very, very powerful tool. And if you don't do anything wrong, there's nothing to be worried about, And again, the other thing I talk about is the deterrent that this has to crime. Huge deterrent. We have these cameras. If you're going to do something, you're going to break the law, you're going to do something, commit a felony or something like that, we got the cameras. We've got it on camera. You're going to get caught, you're going to jail. So do that in some other community, not here. So, yeah, go ahead, Councilwoman Elliott, and then we'll move on.
This Wednesday, I unfortunately have another commitment, so I will not be able to join. But there is this group that will be meeting Wednesday on the 27th, well, I guess it's next week, at the Valley Junction Activity Center, basically community input regarding the cameras, the flock cameras. I'm hoping, though, that I can make arrangements to attend, because to Doug's point, there is so much misinformation out there in terms of what the cameras are doing, how it's being used. I think it would be important for a few of us, if we could attend, to attend this meeting, basically as misinformation is being brought to light, for one or two of us to be there, if nothing else, as a source to kind of combat the negativity and the miscommunication that are out there. So I thought I wanted to at least share that. It is actually Wednesday, May 27th. I'm at the Valley Junction Activity Center.
I believe Chief Bellamy will be there.
Okay,
good.
perfect. All right, moving on to item 4, consent agenda. Do we need to have anything pulled? Okay, any council person like to pull any items from here? Otherwise, I would take a motion to approve as distributed.
Yes,
Councilman McKinney.
Mayor, I'd like to pull 4C, 7, 8, and 9. They are liquor licenses for Maverick.
Yep, I had that marked. Okay, so we're going to pull 4C, 7, 8, 9. Are there any other items that any council person would like to have pulled and voted on separately? Otherwise, I'd take a motion to approve the remainder.
moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 7, 8, 9, we're going to take en bloc. It's basically liquor license approvals for the Maverick Group LLC. Does somebody want to?
I'll make a motion for 4, 7, 8, and 9.
Okay, it's been moved.
Second.
4C,
Okay,
yes.
it's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Four yes, one abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
All right, item 5, old business. Item 5A, Reed's Crossing Planned Unit Development, 925 Jordan Creek Parkway and 6990 Ashworth Road. Amend the Reed's Crossing Planned Unit Development PUD ordinance to incorporate ground to the east of the existing Lutheran Church of Hope property for stormwater detention initiated by Lutheran Church of Hope. We've got an ordinance amendment for approval, the second reading, waiver the third, and adoption to final form. There are no outstanding issues and no changes from the previous reading, which was adopted unanimously by the council at the
Motion to
last.
consider second reading.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Five yes, an ordinance to amend the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2024, and the Reed's Crossing PUD ordinance pertaining to Plan Unit Development District regulations and guidelines.
Motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Five yes.
Motion to waive the third reading, adopt in final form.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 5B, approval of traffic code amendment, special speed zones, various streets. We've once again got an ordinance amendment for approval, the second reading, waiver the third, and adoption of final form. There are no outstanding issues and no changes from the previous reading, which was adopted unanimously by the council at the last meeting.
Motion to consider second reading.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Five yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2024 by amending provisions pertaining to the traffic code relating to official traffic controls.
Motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Five yes.
Motion to waive the third reading and adopt in final form.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 6, public hearings. Item 6A, this is time and place for a public hearing to consider Community Development Block Grant 2026-27, annual action plan initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
May 14th, 2026 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody in the audience who would like to address the council on item 6A, please come to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Is there anybody either in the chambers or online that would like to address the council on item 6A? Okay, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed, and we've got a resolution for approval of the 26-27 CDBG Annual Action Plan, and there are no outstanding issues.
Motion
To approve. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6B, this is a time and place for a public hearing to consider 2025-26 FY operating capital budgets and amendment number 3 initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
May 1st, 2026 in the Des Moines Register.
And have received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody in the audience would like to address the council at item 6B, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Is there anybody either in the chambers or online that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, once again, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And we've got a resolution for approval of budget amendment number 3 to the FY 25-26 operating capital budget, and there are no outstanding issues.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just want to thank Chris and Tim and the finance team for combing through. I believe this is our last budget amendment for this fiscal year, and I look forward to more budget amendments in future fiscal years, or maybe I don't look forward to those, but thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6C. This is a time and a place for a public hearing to consider Grand Avenue widening South Jordan Creek Parkway to South 60th Street, initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
May 1st, 2026 in the Des Moines Register.
And have received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody in the audience would like to address the council on this item, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. If you're online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Is there anybody either online or in the council chambers who would like to address the council on this item? Okay, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed, and we've got 2 resolutions and a motion we can take at the same time, and there are no outstanding issues.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6D, this is a time and a place for public hearing to consider South 35th Street Trail reconstruction initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
May 1st, 2026 in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody in the audience that would like to address the council on item 6D, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. If you're online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Is there anybody either in the council chambers or online that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed, and we've once again got 2 resolutions and a motion we can take at the same time, and there are no outstanding issues.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 7, new business. Item 7A, plat of survey, parcel 2026-4, east of 811 Burr Oaks Drive. Approved plat of survey creating a parcel for the transfer of ownership, the village at Glen Oaks. We have got a resolution for approval and release of the plat of survey, and there are no outstanding issues, but there are 3 conditions of approval, including that this is being done solely for the transfer of ownership, that the owner needs to contact the city upon transfer of the property so that we can record a lot tie agreement, and that no improvements are to be done to the property until the property is replatted through the city subdivision process. Pretty standard. Somebody want to make a
Motion to
motion?
approve.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to address the council on this item? Is there any discussion on the dais? All right, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 7B, Amendment to City Code, Title I Administrative, Chapter 9 Municipal Elections, repeal and replace Section 1 to become a Chapter 45 City 4 Elections. My understanding is that we've got some council people who would like to defer on this item and have it referred to Finance Administration at their next meeting for some discussion. Does somebody want to make a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, so we're going to defer on this, and we're going to bring it back after there's been discussion through finance and administration. My understanding is that there's 3 different kinds of city elections that can be had. We've got right now a runoff election. It's a costly election process if there's more than 2 people running, because if somebody doesn't get 50% plus 1, then it goes to an election after November. In December, you're campaigning in the cold and everything else. You've got another form of election, which I believe Ankeny used to have for a while, which is a primary election. In that form of election, if there's more than 2 people, you are also going to have 2 elections. It's just you'll have one before the November election and then have the November election. And then there is the form of election that we're looking at going to here, which is the winner takes all. But there's different requirements for each one of these, different numbers of signatures that need to be had. So we're going to bring this to Finance Administration, have them vet that there, and then bring it back.
Yeah, I think my position on this is I'd just like Finette and Greg to take a closer look before it comes to council for a final vote, so.
Sure.
Thank you,
Sure.
Councilman. Having said that, I was talking to our wonderful city manager, Tom Haddon, and he does want all of us to explore this. And look, we will absolutely take a deeper look at it, and we will report out. And when we do get the report for the FNA meeting, I would love a real, pretty simple chart. And I'm sure there's one out there that just really talks about, here's the differences, here's the similarities, a really nice, concise way to describe those differences. And of course, there are nuances maybe built in within this, and I would love to explore them more. And I know Councilmember Elliott and I will be willing to explore those, but I do want to make sure all 6 of us are really, really educated when this comes to, because we're at the root of what our city's local democratic vote looks like. So definitely important.
It is important. It's also important to look at the financial aspect of elections, and if we don't have to have more than one election and have the citizens pay for that, that would be great, right? I mean, I think we just had, Councilwoman Elliott was in a runoff election. She had to campaign twice, and that wasn't an easy process for either Councilwoman Elliott or her opponent. And then, of course, there is the cost that's borne by the citizens. And I want to say that that cost was maybe $50,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, Ryan?
Yeah, I think it's 35, 40,000.
35, 40,000. So, if we can have a fair and reasonable process, that people can vote for their candidate and we can avoid a costly second election, I think that makes a lot of sense. But let's take that to Finance Administration. Let's vet it and let's bring it back here. And there is some discussion, and Tom and I have had this, not everything that we do up here is going to go through the subcommittee process. A lot of what we do will. But there's sometimes where it's appropriate for all of us to have the debate, the discussion, back and forth, and make a decision all at the same time. So, Councilwoman Elliott.
What I would like to add is that West Des Moines is the only one in the metro that currently has the process that we were following.
Right.
So it kind of behooves us to look at different scenarios, analyze it, and maybe be more in sync with the rest of the metro area. Because the rest of the metro area, they have already made the change. So I think it's important for West Des Moines to also.
Totally agree. I think we're the only ones left doing the runoff elections. What's interesting is I looked at your election, and there are a lot of people, believe it or not, that some of them may not have come to the polls the second time because they thought you won, because you were the top vote getter the first time. So that's another one of the flaws there is people seeing that and say, what do you mean I got to go out and vote? I already voted for you, right? So people get confused. So, okay, so there's been a motion and a second there to defer it and bring it back. We need a vote. Please vote.
5 yes.
All right, so that is deferred. Moving on to item 7C, approval of traffic code amendment, official traffic control, South Grand Prairie Parkway and Wendover Road, EP True Parkway. We've got an ordinance amendment for approval of the first reading, and there are no outstanding issues.
Move consideration of the first reading.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Anybody online that would like to address the council on this item? Any discussion on the dais? All right, please vote.
5 yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2024 by amending provisions pertaining to the traffic code relating to official traffic controls.
Move approval of the first reading.
Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay. Hold on a second. All right, Item 8, receive, file, and/or refer. Item 8A, we will receive and file internal financial reports. Item 9, other matters. Are there any other matters that any council person would like to bring up at this point in time for the good of the order? Okay, hearing none, we are going to, I guess, adjourn it to our workshop, and then after that, we've got an
I
executive.
think we're planning on doing the executive session.
Okay, we're going to go.
Up in the boardroom first.
Okay, so we're going to meet up in the boardroom. Time is money. We're going to move up in the boardroom for a closed session, and then we're going to come back after that and reconvene for our workshop. We are adjourned. with that, we're going to convene our workshop. Sergeant Wade is going to lead us by singing Careless Whisper.
Is that you?
It's our musician.
Get me singing.
Ryan, that's your play-in song. That's your walk-up song.
All right, Ryan,
Okay.
roll that beautiful bean footage.
We waiting on Councilmember Lodes to get back, or?
Let's just start. He's
Okay,
coming.
all right.
Where'd he go? Oh. Oh, Sergeant Wade went and marked the chalk.
He's at the 30-minute spot.
I'm in the 30-minute spot, and I bet he doesn't tow it.
Rotel.
Well, we will be as brief as possible tonight. I don't think we're going to beat the storm's brief, but we'll try to, I know you've had some weighty workshop topics lately. This will probably not be one of them. So Ryan Moffett, Community and Economic Development Director. What we've got before you tonight is a brief council workshop presentation on some of the proposed changes to the Property Improvement Fund and Regulatory Compliance Fund that we've deployed for quite some time now. So we're going to refer to it as PIF and RCF from here on out. In a minute, I'm going to turn it over to Brad. He's going to talk about a little bit about the history of the program, some of the successes of it. But next year in 2027 marks the 10-year anniversary since this program came to be, and it was first rolled out. So we're doing this on the heels of making some program tweaks before we roll out round number 9 for new applications later this summer. So we just want to fine tune some things, make sure the program's working as good as it can be. We've learned some things from the applicants, from our due diligence committee, from previous recipients, and we want to make sure that the program has the biggest impact to the community that possibly can. So in tonight's presentation, here's a little bit about what we'll go through. Again, a little bit of background on PIF and RCF. Refresher, maybe for some of you, it's new information for our newer council members. We'll talk a little bit about some of the successes the program has had and give some real-life examples of impacts that we've seen so far. We'll go through some of the suggested changes that we're proposing to make and the reasons behind why we're looking to change that. And then we'll follow that up with any questions you might have and just get feedback basically that will direct us so we can implement these new rules and roll the program out. So with that, I'm going to turn over the majority of this tonight to Brad Munford. He's coordinated this program for several years now and really is kind of our subject matter expert on it.
All right, good evening. I will, again, kind of quickly go through these things again. As Ryan pointed out, you guys have had a lot of workshops, so this is just to kind of recap a few things and to get you guys some feedback. If you guys are kind of into cinema, this is going to be a little bit different, kind of like a Quentin Tarantino movie where I give you the end and then I fill in the blanks later on. So right here, this very first slide, these are the 5 questions that ultimately we're going to be asking you tonight. I'm doing this so that you know what you're listening for, what's important to you. And I'll go over these kind of real quickly. So the first kind of point is, one is potential expansion of the eligibility areas. I'll talk about that. I'll also talk about the evaluation of job creation versus job retention requirements, reviewing our funding participation limits as far as what we do as a city, supporting small businesses through flexible project timelines, and then also the idea of prioritizing catalytic and synergistic investments throughout the area. So first, our PIF RCF program, it's the Property Improvement Fund is a PIF. It's a 5-year, 0% interest forgivable loan, and it support property upgrades and reinvestment in these areas. The Regulatory Compliance Fund is a reimbursable grant. So they do the work, we pay a portion of that money back to them in a reimbursable grant. Again, that is focused more on code compliance and safety improvements. So code compliance, we're looking at fire sprinkling systems, we're looking at grease interceptors, things of that nature, ADA bathrooms, things of that nature. For both of those programs, we have each program is maximized, or the maximum is $75,000 per applicant that they could be eligible for, unless you have a historic property per our study that was done most recently in 2022. In those cases, those properties can be eligible for up to $100,000 from each one of those programs. The target areas that we've had initially was Valley Junction. That was our That was the majority of the target areas for all of these rounds. And then our last round, which was in 2024, we added the 8th Street corridor just north of the city. Again, as Ryan pointed out, we're hitting our 10-year anniversary. This is a good time to kind of look and reassess some things. Types of projects that, that we fund and impact. I already talked about facade and infrastructure improvements, tenant remodeling, ADA accessibility, fire and sprinkler systems. Our impacts of our programs, you can see some of the examples on the left-hand side of the screen. I'll go over some of those a little bit more in detail in a second, but it helps us strengthen our aging commercial corridors. We can make an argument that this is probably one of our most adaptable and programs to help out Valley Junction in a way where other things we may not be able to help. It supports small businesses. We preserved and enhanced historic structures. Examples of that would be the Winchester, the old Silvers building that's historic, and then also the work that was done on the KCL building as well. The nice thing is that we were able to leverage significant private investment after we put in our city dollars. And what I mean by that is we fueled this in a number of different ways. So over the 8 rounds, we had 73 projects that were completed that touched over 37 businesses. 343 jobs either retained or kept through this program. And for about $2.6 million of investment, we were able to leverage a little over $7.6 million of private investment in these programs. So when we look at that, that means for every dollar that we've put in these programs over the last 8 rounds, we ended up sparking about $2.87 of private investment. We see that as a benefit, and we hope you do as well. Some success stories. I'll run through these pretty quick just to kind of get you guys familiar with it. You've seen these buildings. You've probably been proud of them or referenced them before, but just kind of go through them real quickly. Give you an idea of some of the valuation and increases we've seen. So with the KCL building, before they work done in 2016, you see they're a little over $424,000. Right now they're at 1.6 or 1.4 million, a little over, which is, again, I see at the bottom a little over $1 million increase in valuation. We see similar things with the old muffin factory at 721 Railroad. This is a project that was just done in our last round, so we don't have those years of increased valuation, but you can still see here we're looking at $120,000 of increased valuation in just in little under a year of that work that's being done. Bixen Company, this was a situation where a building was raised and we put something else was put in its place. We're looking at $1.1 million of increased valuation for that property there. Lastly, we have Winchester, the old Silvers building, $364,000 in 2017. Again, we're up to a little over $1 million in valuations today. $700,000 increase there. So with that being said, let's talk about a little bit of the valuation after the 8 rounds. So this is where we're going to kind of talk about those questions a little bit. I'll come back to them at the end and just ask you directly, what do you think of each one? But here's the background of each thing. We already talked about why we're reviewing it now. I'll talk about the lens that we're looking at these programs through. It has to do with stakeholder input and perspective. So the feedback that we got over these last 8 programs, myself personally, the last 2 rounds of this, we gathered history from program applicants, businesses that thought about it and wanted to participate but chose not to. We have our due diligence committee members, and then our personal observations from administering the programs. I will point out, since we do have new council members, and for those that may not be familiar with the due diligence committee, the due diligence committee is a committee that was appointed by past mayor and actually current mayor in some cases to review and score applications that come in for these programs. It is a competitive process. Those due diligence committee members represent a wide array of professions and bring different expertise to that review process. So we have individuals that are bankers, we have individuals that are design professionals, we have citizens, and then we also have individuals that represent the Chamber of Commerce and the Valley Junction Foundation. We have a scoring that goes through, they give their scoring, and then we present their findings to you to then give a final funding, to distribute final funding. The stakeholder perspective, our strength is that it's a proven, trusted program, strong private, public, and leverage, flexible funding tool, and it gives us, again, an ability to help smaller businesses in situations where they do not create enough increment through TIF, where we can help them through that tool. Some of the challenges that we had is that it's been limited to Valley Junction and our 8th Street corridor. The job creation and retention requirements have sometimes kept people from applying. The city's 35% funding cap has been more difficult for some businesses. I'll touch on that a little later. Limited development experience for small businesses created some challenges. Again, because of education and sophistication of some of the smaller business owners, more time to get projects done. And then we want to also talk about creating more catalytic reinvestment. So potential improvement number one, getting into the questions, the PIF, RCF eligibilities, we're currently in Valley Junction and 8th Street. Valley Junction's in orange at the bottom, 8th Street's in green at top. Businesses have expressed, outside of these areas, have expressed interest in this. We wanted to get an idea of where the council feels about opening up. We took a look at our community and we thought that the place that we saw small businesses that have aging buildings, aging infrastructure would next be our Grand Corridor, approximately from 1st Street to around 14th. And that's what you see there in blue. Potential improvement number two is a reduction of job creation and retention requirements. So to just kind of briefly summarize this slide here, right now we currently require 2 full-time equivalent jobs to be eligible for this program. A lot of these smaller businesses, or a few of these smaller businesses, are owner-operated. So they're working by the sweat of their brow as their one sole employee, and they're working, keeping their business open. They then hire part-time employees to help them during peak times of the year. At times, the sum of those full-time hours add up to another full-time equivalent where they can say it's 2. The issue that comes into play is that those businesses that are hesitant for applying, they cannot guarantee that they can have enough part-time over a 5-year period of time that they can guarantee that they're going to have 2 every year for 5 years. So what they do is they kind of pull bait and they don't apply for the programs. We believe it's something that we should kind of think about, and it'll be up to your discretion on how we move forward with that. Potential improvement number 3, the rising cost of construction and the program limit and the limits to our program. Since the initiation of this program, the city, we have said that we are not going to place any more investment into these projects than 35% of the total project costs. Again, to summarize this up a little bit more, what's happening is that the cost of construction for smaller businesses are starting to rise more and more. And unfortunately, their opportunity to get access to capital is not keeping up with those construction costs. So yes, those construction costs are going up, but they still go to the bank and they're still limited on how much they can get for a loan. So we end up in situations where they can't scrape enough pennies together to try to get this project to move forward. However, it's something that could help a historic building. It's something that would allow for a fire sprinkler system to be put in to make a space more usable. One of the questions that we will be asking you tonight is if it's possible or to go from 35% to a 50% to align a little bit better with kind of what we're seeing in construction needs there. Number 4 is addressing the learning curves for small businesses. Currently, in our development agreements, all projects have to be done within 12 months. Again, with small businesses, they're small business owners. They know their business. If they make trinkets, if they serve food, that's what they know. They then have to jump into the realm of trying to understand how to go about getting a site plan review through development services. They have to figure out how to get a engineer to design their sprinkler system, how to find an architect. That takes a little time and some rev up for them to go. And we've been finding that it's been more and more difficult for those business owners to get it done within a 12-month period of time. What we've done at a staff level is that if they have shown an effort to get things moving and the project is moving forward, we've worked with them to allow them a little extra time to get those projects done. In essence, we want to go ahead and codify that and make it part of the actual, to make it part of the actual standard, so that we give them possibly 24 months so that they can get the project rolling, so that they can learn a little bit, have a little bit of that learning curve and move forward and still get a good project for up and moving. Number 5, oh, sorry. 5, I'm going quick, so I had 2 slides and put it into 1. All right, number 5, prioritizing synergistic investment. I have 2 slides for this. So I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit shorter for you. First is that we've always have used the financial backing or the financial optics of a project as being almost the one thing that we look at when we're ranking and distributing money for these projects. However, what we have noticed is that there's been some nice benefits that have come through. So for example, when we give a project money, we've seen through projects such as St. Kilda's and Winchester, Bixen Company, KCL, that it sparks other people to kind of step up their game. So in essence, it's almost a situation where you see your neighbor cutting grass, you're like, all right, I better get out there and start cutting the grass. What we want to do is kind of work at changing our scoring criteria where we keep the financial standards that we have, but in addition to that, we want to give some extra scoring and a nod to things that we are calling to be, that's going to be synergistic, that's going to spark more development in the area so that other people kind of get out, keep the analogy, get out, cut your grass, paint your building, fix your roof, because you're not keeping up with the Joneses next door. So that in a kind of brief show with it. So again, what we're proposing, alignment with our city plans, positive impact to surrounding businesses, renovation and preservation of existing historic buildings, visibility and prominence of the project, and I'll kind of point an example of that. We kind of see it a little bit going on with Bixen Company, where as you enter Fifth Street, it kind of becomes this entry point where you see this building that's new, you feel that energy that's there. Also, it has that patio that faces the stage, which allows for more people to interact not only with the business, but with what's going on in our festivals and things that we have down in that area. That is an example of how you get that energy. Most people can't explain it, but you definitely can feel it. And we want to try to set up a scoring criteria where we encourage that moving forward. And then again, ability to inspire additional reinvestment. And then we want to, this last kind of check mark here, long-term commitment to the district community. We want to make sure that we add points to businesses that have been in our community for a long period of time, that they get extra scores, extra points for that. That'll help us as a tool so that we don't necessarily have, I don't want to say franchisees or outsiders, but basically individuals that aren't, we want to encourage individuals that have been in our community doing the work in these older areas to stay, give them a few extra points so that they have a little bit better shot at getting some of these funds. With that, I will go back to our original slide. I went through that pretty quick. Back to our original slide and kind of ask these questions. But before we go through that, I will stand for any questions that you have. I went through a mile a minute to try to keep you from getting wet.
That was perfect, Brad. Any questions for Brad or Ryan?
I do have a question. I know this is all geared towards businesses and whatnot, but the Masonic Lodge that I belong to down on Fifth Street, that's been there, the building's been there for 100 years. It was last year. We had the proclamation for that. They've got, I think it's 3 rental properties down below. One of them is Penrod's Barbershop, which has been there the entire time. Not the same owner, but same thing. And the other businesses, Judy Kay's, I think, has been there for like 30 years. the lodge was told that they could not qualify for these because the lodge doesn't have any employees. But when you've got rental properties, if you're not keeping your building up, obviously you're not going to have places for your tenants. So is there a way to
Work through that.
rather than, no, the Masonic Lodge doesn't have employees, so you can't qualify?
Yeah, and that's something that, to be frank with you, I've sat down, Ryan and I've sat down and kind of wrestled with, thought about quite a bit. We don't have, to be frank with you, we don't have a direct, straight answer at this point in time. It was something that, to be honest with you, I had it as a slide to kind of discuss. We don't have enough answers to give you a direct one now. It's more complicated than I thought. There are some legal implications with some things, with nonprofits, with jobs, things of that nature. But I will say that there are two avenues that can be done. So for example, a tenant can apply for funding as opposed to the building owner. Could be one way. I'll let Ryan, I see him here out of my peripheral.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a tenant that's going to apply to get a new roof put on the building, because then they're on the hook.
Understand. That's why I said there's more that we
Yeah,
have to look into
right.
there a little bit, but I'll go ahead and let
Well, that's
Ryan
all I
go.
ask is it gets looked into, and if it can't happen, it can't happen.
And I think by nature, I mean, the rules of the program today, tax exempt properties would not qualify for the program. I think historically, when this was created, it was meant for tax producing small businesses, properties on the tax roll. So I think that's the issue that's tripped us up before at that location. We'll double check the taxable status of that property to see if it's on the tax rolls or exempt. But I think, we didn't bring that up tonight just because there's a lot of landmines, I think, with talking about that. And we've got another funding source that's available for nonprofit businesses to apply, which is the hotel motel sales tax program. So I think going forward, it still would be our recommendation. We don't put that in here for tax exempt properties, but certainly if council directs us, we'd be happy to look at that further too.
What we have to be careful of is, when we created these programs, it was kind of a scary thing. We wanted to try to revitalize the business district in Valley Junction and have, more ma and pa small businesses. But at the same time, you want to make sure we protect the taxpayer investment. And so everything that we did to set this up, including the due diligence committee, was doing that. And really, if I think about the over the last 10 years of the program, Kelly Sharp, who was honest to get this program up and running, ended up having Vino 209 go under pretty quickly. Now it's still being used and, rented out and whatnot. But I don't know that a lot of the businesses, due diligence committee's done a good job. And the program rules, I think, have done a pretty good job. I don't know, other than that there have been a lot of these businesses that have received funding and have gone under or are no longer there. I know Heavenly has had some.
There's been a few over the course of the 8 rounds. There are some certainly. But
and we were willing to take that risk, but you got to also make sure that you're protecting the taxpayers' money and the investment.
For us too,
Vino 209 did repay everything.
Oh, they did. Yep, that's right.
That one was okay.
Yep, that's right.
The precedent too,
Thank you, Tim.
We have had other nonprofits that have asked us about this funding program, but it's a slippery slope when we talk about places of worship,
Where do
other
you stop? Yeah.
community centers down there that might not be on the tax rolls. Where do we draw the line?
Right.
So how do you, I've got feedback on all 5 of these items, and I'm happy to do it right away, or we want to go one by one,
One
or
by one and then up and down the line.
on each,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
Let's
do that. Start down with Doug. Number 1, potential expansion of eligible areas. Do you want to go to Grand Avenue or just leave it 8th Street and 5th?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I would expand it.
Yep, Kevin,
I would expand it.
Finette,
I would expand.
I'm with them, expand.
I actually have a question related to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so would we have sufficient funding to continue doing the project size and amounts that we are doing in the existing areas, or would we reduce the amount that would be eligible in the Valley Junction area?
Well, actually, that's a funding question, so I'm going to defer that to
Okay.
Ryan.
Yeah, I think what we're saying, and this is kind of goes hand in hand with the scoring, right? I mean, we've had basically to this last round, first one I've, really the only one I've been a part of coming to West Des Moines, everybody that applied that met the criteria was funded, regardless of how significant their project was, or in some cases wasn't. And I think what we're saying going forward is if we be more selective and let the cream rise to the top and focus on these projects that are more catalytic in nature, that is going to shape where the funding goes. So we have a situation where maybe not every applicant does receive funding, but this would really be about the same amount of funding that we're spreading over a larger area. And how we derive this area basically in blue that you see there is if it's commercially zoned along Grand Avenue within a reasonable range. We didn't go over to where Hy-Vee's at Grand and Railroad. But within that area, basically, if it were commercially zoned, we decided to put it in. Now, there's some new buildings in there and quite a bit of new development. Instead of having a checkerboard of Charlie's Filling Station not being in, but the Fairway being excluded, we decided just to put everybody in. Obviously, you know, it's going to be unlikely that Wendy's with a brand new building is going to come forward and pursue this program. But that's just cleaner so we don't have that checkerboard pattern.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that everybody needs to win, so to speak. I think the right projects need to win. And you all know better than I do as I sit here now, whether or not there are projects that would have been more appropriately funded had there been opportunities outside the district. So I would agree with my colleagues that expanding it would be great, but I don't want it expanded at the expense of reducing viable and, you know, if.
But you are going to do that to some extent.
I get that. And that's why I'm trying to figure out what that balance is, because I believe that some of those buildings down there, and we've all talked about it, are just years from crumbling. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's decades. But in the event I'm not wrong, and we decided to help, I don't know, the vacuum cleaner on, 10th and Grand Avenue in lieu of a historic building down there that's ready to crumble, that would be my concern.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be addressed by the scoring criteria. It's always going to weight historic preservation as the first and foremost goal of the program. I would say the vacuum cleaner store honestly might be a historic example too, in that two-story commercial brick building.
That's why you shouldn't name names.
But to his point, we want the best bang for the buck.
Bingo.
We don't want this to be, everybody plays, everybody wins.
Right.
That's missing the mark. That's missing the mark. We want, people in Valley Junction, and this is rare for me because, as you know, with the housing program, I don't want to go outside of Valley Junction. I want to make the biggest bang for the buck for the part of the city that needs it the most. And that's why I have not agreed on the housing program to go outside. But I have heard from other businesses up and down Grand Avenue. I know A Street we finally went to, and maybe we're not getting as many takers anymore. Of course, we haven't had a program for the last year, right? But in Valley Junction, I certainly don't want to water down Valley Junction, but at the same time, I want the best bang for the buck. So if there's a restaurant bar or whatever, a business that's on between 1st and 14th on Grand Avenue, and it's really a great project, and to Brad's point, my God, this is going to spur other development, maybe not from incentives from us, but they're going to see these people are taking care of their business, and now they're going to invest. We want that. And so I don't just want all right, 10 people applied, we've got $300,000, everyone's getting 30 grand. That's the wrong thing for this.
And I will kind of, and I know we're waiting for Greg to answer as well. I will also say this is that one thing that I did want to point out that I had in the slide is that we are we're leveraging our dollars pretty well. And so we're seeing arguably that this is a successful program. And in the future, if we ever do get to a point where we want to do some more of those kind of slush fund type things that Newmark pointed out a few weeks ago, we kind of have a tool that's already in place that could help us do that if we decided that we wanted to throw some more funds at small businesses.
Yeah, and I think I've heard from at least 3 of you about taking our toolkit and going to areas outside of Valley Junction that might be in need of this as well. So this is in response to that.
Well, we're trapped now, so. Sorry.
Well, we'll be here for a little bit. So my next question is a 7-part question.
Oh, boy.
No. Kidding.
What time does Uber Eats arrive?
Michelson ordering a pizza. So I like the idea of expanding it, but I guess my question is, why not Upper 8th Street corridor? Why not University corridor? Why aren't there, like, if what Matt said is correct, that really the goal has been historic preservation, yeah, 8th Street stuff, not going to apply. University corridor stuff, not going to apply. Stuff where all of the Newmark was talking about, or no, what were they talking about? Between Westtown University, up in Ward 2, where Home Depot is, all of that area. Why would that not be open to any of this? Is it because it's not historic? Is it because it's not needed? Tell me more.
Can I answer that? Because when we started this program, we wanted to get a good bang for the buck, and there was such little amount of money available, so we wanted to concentrate it all in Valley Junction. And we looked at all those areas. We literally drove around, me, Clyde, Sandagger, in a car, and looked at all the areas you're talking about and determined whether or not we want to put some of these programs towards that. We decided to do the 5-year, 100% TIF rebate towards all of that other area. And then focus this on Valley Junction. I mean, how much money are we going to have for this program? 300,000, 400,000? It's not going to
Historically,
go
we've
very
been
far.
between 600,000 to 800,000 in terms of an allocation for
Yeah.
every program,
That's-
basically about.
So that's
the answer, but I mean.
So that kind of goes back to, like, we could expand it to, I like the idea of expanding it.
Yeah.
I do, but if, as the mayor said, like 300, 600,000, even still, if it's like 60,000 for 10 projects, I'd be more interested in doing it in $150,000 in a real difference-making sort of way. And in which case, I imagine Woodland Valley Junction probably have 4 properties that could really use $150,000. So that's why I'm skeptical to expand it.
Yeah, and I just think too, I mean, for larger properties, larger scale properties, this probably is not the right tool for the funding amount that we've got.
I agree. It's just, but if we're going to expand it,
Well, it may not be
which
the
we're
right.
not going to do, but,
I'm sorry.
oh, you go ahead.
I was going to say, well, it may not be the right tool for that. Do we have a tool for that?
We do not right now. I've gotten questions before in the Valley West area specifically if we've got a facade program created there too. And the answer today is obviously no, but someday if we have good increment to show in that area, I mean, that's one possible use of increment that we could take a look at someday is a creation of a program there. The other thing too is if it's a substantial enough renovation, I mean, the door is open if we wanted to discuss, you know, your values here today, it increases there. Let's do a development agreement and talk about a TIF rebate if it's a more thorough restoration of a building.
Part of the issue that we were talking about way back when we created these programs was, you know, we heard from people, God, West Des Moines is the chain capital of the world, right? Where are all the mom and pop, where are all the family businesses and family restaurants that are down in the city of Des Moines? And we don't have those here. And so this was kind of our effort towards trying to get some of those small mom and pop type businesses, more unique businesses like Winchester's, like Bix, St. Kilda here, and it's worked. And so I'd love to do it all across the city, but we don't have the funding to do it.
And it wasn't, and that's not it wasn't a serious proposal. I was just
But I'd
using it
love
as
to
a
do that.
hypothetical that if we're going to expand it like, where do we stop this expansion? Because as Matt correctly said, I mean, we do have buildings along Grand, among other places, that could use some of this money for that, but why not hone it in on the place with the historic buildings and places that are most likely to collapse? Is stopping a building from collapsing like shoring up a foundation away? Now, if it's beyond repair, like the longest yard was, yeah, it goes down. But I'm assuming there's some buildings down there who could use some PIF or some RCF funds for that purpose of shoring up foundation, right?
In Valley Junction.
In Valley Junction.
Well, we know there are buildings with structural issues down there for certain.
And this would be used specifically for those structural issues,
But
right?
the problem is you can't make these people apply.
We cannot.
That's the problem.
Right. And
That's
they
the
have to
problem.
put money in too. Now, whether it's 30, you know, our match being 35% or 50%, that's up for consideration tonight too.
And that's why I would say if we were going to up it to 50%, which I think I like the idea, up it to 50%, keep it to the orange areas. This is not a hill that I'm willing to die on or anything, but that's just my thought. So,
But I thought when we originally created this, I thought that the RCF was a grant program, but it's dollar for dollar match.
Right.
Okay, so we're not looking at changing that, are we?
No.
Okay. Because I think it's important that they have skin in the game too. And the last thing we want to do is have somebody that, hey, I don't want to provide any jobs, and I can't come up with any money, and I have no sophistication, so I need help, and we're just going to hand out $150,000, and they're going to go under.
Yeah, what we're proposing would be a 50-50 match instead of a, 35-65 match like we had before. And in addition, the reason that Brad brought up, one thing that we saw last time around too is we had a lot of applicants, right, and a limited source of funding. And in that approach where everyone got fed a little bit of something, not everyone got full awards. And people had hard decisions to make as to whether or not they can even go forward with the project if they didn't receive the full grant amount, so.
If I could just maybe sum up where I then stand based upon that feedback, I agree that I have no problem expanding to the blue. I think, however, if we can prioritize some of the things we've been talking about, and let's say hypothetically, we don't have people that are willing to take on these funds to reinvest, to preserve some historic structure, we're just going to give money to some person that shows up because they want to do something that technically may qualify, but there's a bigger bang for the buck on grant, go for the bigger bang for the buck on grant.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't meant to be a charity case. I mean, like I said, everybody plays, everybody wins. It's let's do the bang for the buck. Let's spur economic development. I mean, this essentially did that in Valley Junction, right? To the extent where all of a sudden now people are wanting to come into Valley Junction that weren't there before because it's now starting to be the place to be.
Well,
I mean, which is also why I'm kind of supportive of expanding, because it's done what we intended it to do in Valley Junction, and we can bring our bag of goodies to
And I
Grand
don't
Avenue.
know if we put this in the presentation, but Brad calculated out of the award recipients over the 8.5 rounds we've done this in, we've more than doubled the taxable valuation from before to after.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so number two, question number two?
yeah, so I think we kind of touched on it. So question number two, as far as the jobs itself, as far as reducing the job standards from two full-time equivalency to one full-time equivalency to be eligible for the program.
Can we move to the next slide?
Oh, yeah.
This time maybe we start down with Hudson and we'll work the other way.
So instead
one.
of two full-time, down to one, or one full-time and two part-time. Like, I would love to have some part-times incorporated too. If we're going to move from two full-time down to one, let's make sure that there's some part-time incorporated, but what the right balance is.
Yeah, it's full-time equivalent, so we've always.
Oh, to say,
included- It doesn't have to be half, it could be somebody that just shows up.
But yeah, consistently meeting the full-time equivalent threshold. So if we have to lower it to include the two 10-hour-a-week people who only add up to a half-time equivalent, whatever, I could be okay with that, but.
I kind of break it down in terms of infrastructure preservation related versus business operational related. And what I mean by that is, let's say you've got a building that has some tenants in it, it's operating, and they're going to struggle to hire folks, right? The two or whatever it may be. But the building is in dire need of some tender loving care. I think that I'm comfortable reducing it if we're going to help preserve something that is otherwise going to just fall apart. But I do think we need to have some sort of employment involvement. I think of vacant buildings, right? I don't want to just help reinvest in a building and it's just going to sit there vacant. I'd like to think that this building that is maybe not occupied because there's mold or water problems or other things, and here we're going to help put on this roof, and it's going to then be capable of being occupied, then we ought to have some sort of job component. So I think, again, it's more of a prioritization. I'm comfortable reducing it if we're going to do some really important things around preservation.
I appreciate that. And as a side note, under Iowa economic development law, if we're giving incentives, they have to have at least one job component.
Okay.
That's a bare minimum.
So at the beginning of this program, it was talked about whether or not we're going to allow sole proprietors to be able to apply for this, or if we want to have more of a jobs component to it. We wanted to have more of a jobs component to it. We talked about 5 jobs, 10 jobs, 5 jobs. We ended up settling at some point in time for 2. I'm not really in favor of going down to one. I suppose I could get there if, kind of like how the state's programs were, where, okay, you're not meeting the job requirement, but your capital investment is pretty massive, you know? So if you're not going to meet the job requirement, then you need to have some sort of level of capital investment that you yourself are putting into this program, then fine. Other than that,
I'll add that addendum to my every day of the week.
Well, if I can, but however, if I could gently push back on that a little bit.
Oh, no.
We are.
hold on, I'll get them, let them go. Let 'em
Just gently. Again, we are dealing with small businesses.
Totally
So
get it.
Their opportunity to give a large capital investment, and if we are really trying to preserve that small business aspect of it, we could inadvertently open a door for somebody larger to come in and kind of game.
We don't want that, Brad, but at the same time, I mean, the problem is if this small, I get it.
Yeah.
Like running a small business is extremely difficult, right? I understand that, and we want to try to be as helpful as possible, and this program has been aimed at that. I don't want to go against it, but at the same time, if we have somebody that's a small business owner that doesn't have a pot to piss in, that can't get a loan from a bank, and we're going to give it to them, we're setting up for just disaster, in my opinion, because they're not financially. This is why we wanted the due diligence committee in place, because we want to try to protect the taxpayers against some business that doesn't have the pot to piss in, pardon the language, and then comes and applies for $150,000 from the city, gets it, puts the money into the building and goes under 2 weeks later. You know what I mean? We want viable, they can be struggling, but we want
But I thought they
viable
had to
businesses.
prove that they've got the ability to repay it. Right? We're not just giving them $150,000. They've got to show they've got the financial ability to repay it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's all got to make sense. That's all got to make sense. I mean, if we're like, oh, this poor guy, you know, it's just him by himself, and you know, we're going to give him $150,000 and not require something because he can't afford it. I think we're making a big mistake there.
but we're not changing that.
It really is what you just brought up about the sole proprietor. I mean, there are business owners that could otherwise qualify for the program, but that one thing is what stopped them before, right? And they might need some time to scale up, and eventually when they grow, they can hire more people, but initially it's an impediment. And so what we're doing with this is just passing on what we've heard from applicants before to see if there's interest in program changes.
So you've got, Greg is fine going from 2 to 1, you're fine going from 2 to 1, Finette.
You know, in all honesty, I am just really trying to absorb. I'm not trying to automatically say, oh, no, oh, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying not to let my emotions.
I get it, I get it.
And I trust you guys. You have the experience, you have the knowledge, you know where we were, you know where we're going. So I would just like to add, just to kind of fit the other two.
Okay.
I
get it. Nope, that makes a lot of sense. Kevin, where are you at?
I think it makes sense to reduce it down to 1.
All right.
I mean, we're talking small business. And if they're, again, a lot of them do operate, as you said earlier, with sole proprietor, and then they've got a few part-time people here and there. So I think it makes sense for 1, because even if you part-time people over the course of a year equals another full-time employee, who's doing the math on that? How do you prove that, you know, I hired, you know, Bob and John and Tom and Sally and Susie to work these hours? To me, it makes sense to drop it down to 1.
All right, Doug, where are you at?
I think it's a terrible idea. And I'll tell you why. And I'll just try to be really brief. I think if you've got a business and you don't have anyone else working in it other than yourself, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. So anything beyond structural improvements to these buildings, which I think are good, but like to me, I'm not interested in investing in something that isn't going to hire another person, because that limits the impact of the funds. And I don't think that's a good use of taxpayer money.
So to be clear on what I was saying is 1 position, but also multiple part-time positions doesn't necessarily have to add up to a full-time position. But I agree with Doug. If it's just a 1 person band, it's not a band. I want to see some other people in there who are actually working. And I don't know how hard that would be to monitor, but at the end of the year, I assume, hey, who did you hire this year? How much do they work? It seems like that is something, but.
Well, and let me add one thing to it too.
People.
Yeah. And I don't want to split hairs on like, is 3 people one job or whatever, but like, I think there could be other things that are beneficial to the community. So if it's a 2-story building and it's a 1-person business downstairs, but there's an apartment that could be an affordable housing unit for somebody, I think we should consider that maybe.
So we had 3 people that want to go from 2 to 1. Now we kind of got like 2.5 people. Why don't we just call it 1.5 FTEs, go from 2 down to 1.5?
Terrible idea.
Well, I know, but that's where we're at. I mean, that would kind of get at what Greg's talking about with,
The other way you could think about this is if you raise the FTE requirement, let's call it 5 again.
you know,
Yes, the smaller person won't get the money, but you can make a bigger impact with the same dollars.
What's the impact? When you measure impact, see, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, this, to me, like, that's why I was saying, is it business operational or is it infrastructure preservation?
To me, it's capital improvement.
And so, you know, let's say you've got a building. My concern about what you're saying is a hypothetical of you've got a building, it's in great need of repair, but that owner, operator, business person can only really have 1.5, 1 FTE, 2 FTEs, but they got this building that's just falling apart. In my mind, I'd rather help preserve that building so it doesn't fall apart, and try to encourage reinvestment through that. And in that scenario, they wouldn't qualify, but somebody else whose building may be okay, that needs a grease trap, but they could add 5 FTEs, would be able to qualify. And that's why, you know, I'm not saying both are wrong, but in my mind, I almost prefer the preservation as opposed to maybe the job creation at this
maybe
point.
maybe we need to split it between PIF and RCF. RCF is more regulatory compliance type stuff, and PIF is literally what you're talking about.
That's what it is.
Right. The building is,
That's what those 2 programs are.
well, you got regulatory compliance where you got building falling in and need a repair. That's probably less job.
That's not regulatory,
No.
That's
Property improvement fund. That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. So maybe you ought to,
but they already are, Russ. There's 2 different programs.
I get
One
that.
does
I get that, but isn't the job requirement for across both programs? So
Jobs
I'm
for
saying,
both, yeah.
why don't you leave the one regulatory compliance at 2 and put the PIF
I
down
see
to
what you're
1?
saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So if it's more infrastructure related, that'd be PIF, and so less concerns about jobs. If it's more property, the compliance fund,
Regulatory compliance.
regulatory compliance,
So, yeah.
that's a higher job. It
Yeah.
actually makes sense.
And just to be clear, this is
The
kind of how I
only problem
generally
is that
explain it is.
they could apply for both, and that's the only problem that would cause.
They could apply for both, and that adds some complexities to it. But just generally speaking, PIF RCF, I kind of tell people when I explain it to them, PIF starts with P, that's the pretties. Regulatory, you know, that's a,
But also the foundational stuff is under PIF too.
it can be in some place.
Like
yeah.
for structural,
Structural,
which
yes,
one is
structural,
under?
yes, it does fall within
Yeah,
that.
that would
But
be under the PIF.
I mean,
too. So yeah, pretty, but also-
regulatory compliance is literally grease traps,
Well,
range hoods.
But it's
fire
not, because
sprinklers,
you guys
anything like
allowed
that.
one of them to have, that needed a roof, fell under the regulatory compliance fund, which I didn't understand.
That was,
Time.
based on past precedent, prior to us both being here, decking was seen as part of the structure and fell within the regulatory compliance because you had to have a roof that needed repair as opposed
But
to.
that's
just-
not regulations. And that was my point when that thing came up. Regulation says you have to have a sprinkler system. Regulation says you have to have a grease trap. That's what the regulatory compliance fund was set up
I'm
for.
just going to say you're not wrong, Kevin. I mean,
I mean, and the other was property
Yeah,
improvement,
right. When the,
which is a roof.
the
Because
question-
initially, roofs didn't even qualify for it.
no.
Yeah, when the question came up last time, there was a program change in 2022 that I wasn't aware of when I initially came up to the podium. Tim actually sent that to me. I think I'd forwarded that on to you at that point. Whatever happened in 2022 allowed roofs, if it was structural in nature, basically to qualify for that program too.
But see, that's where I think that needs to get fixed.
I agree.
That is not regulatory.
No, I agree.
And this is a good time to do that.
Right.
So I think it needs to be. That's,
It could be regulatory, but that's pretty extreme.
that's building structure. That's property improvement.
Yeah, I mean, it was meant for more ADA compliant bathrooms, grease interceptors, range
Yes.
hoods, fire sprinklers.
Yes, a
All these
regulation.
things that the government put obstacles in the business's way that we could help remove that.
Right.
A roof is more property improvement fund, no doubt. So where are we at then? Do you guys want to go, do you want to go?
I think
from
it
two down
makes
to one?
sense that the RCP of 2 employees and the property improvement is 1.
I'd be fine for 2 and 1. Doug wants 3 and 1 or 5 and 1. Right. Or
I don't care. I'll follow whatever you guys want to do. I think for going to 2 to 1, you might as well not just lift the requirement altogether.
But you can't.
I know.
I know what you're saying,
yeah.
And I'm with you, Doug. I'm just trying to figure out how we can come to some kind of an agreement, move forward that makes sense. And this will complicate the program a
mean,
little bit, right?
What's the dollars we're talking about here? How much money in these 2 funds every year?
Was it?
We're talking about 800,000, looking at
600,000
800.
to 800,000.
And is there any funds remaining at the end of the year?
Right now, yeah, we've got around 300-some thousand unspent from projects that didn't move forward previously.
I mean, to me, it's not enough to protest over. I'm going to go with what the rest of you think. I would try to do it a little bit differently, but there's probably restrictions I'm not aware of, so.
All right, so we're at two for regulatory compliance, and we're at 1 for TIF.
Did the 300,000 that's sitting in there could have been allocated if there was an employee difference or if there was some of these other changes?
I'm sorry, ask that again.
The 300,000 that didn't get allocated, did it not go through and be used because of, hey, you couldn't maintain the FTEs or some other thing here?
The projects, for a variety of reasons, just haven't gone forward. 175,000 of that is 122 Fifth Street that we've been holding in reserve for that project, basically, the business that goes within it. Okay. There are a few others that just didn't advance forward. There are some times where people come in under what they originally estimated. So that has causes a little bit of a reserve balance too.
Okay. One thing I'm thinking about the Newmark report. What happens to 300 grand that we don't use?
Technically, it goes back to the general fund. I've been working with Tim to kind of hold it in reserve for so we don't have to have as much general fund dollars come back into the next round.
Put this in our incentive
The
stuff.
PIF was meant to be a revolving loan fund,
Yeah.
but just for simplicity of budgeting and other expenditures and whatnot, it's been being paid back and put back into the general fund. So we don't have a
Okay, we don't have a
revolving loan,
excess.
really.
Okay.
All right, so what I'm hearing is 2 jobs for regulatory compliance, 1 for PIF.
I would like to make sure that each of those for the PIF, I would still like to, no, for the PIF, I would still like to make sure there are at least 2 employees, even if one of them's part-time. So I really like the idea of 1.5. That's what I prefer, because I don't like the idea of a 1-person show.
We could go ahead and just keep it the same.
Yeah,
I want to stay out too.
If you want to keep it at 2 for simplicity's sake.
No. If I can explain just a little bit more clearly. All right, I'm gonna go buy a property down on Fifth Street, and I want to do this, and I'm going to employ myself and only myself, and that's it. I don't have any other jobs. I don't have anything. I don't have anything else going on, and then I can apply for this fund. What Matt said earlier was right. What Doug said earlier was right. Getting more employees in the area to prevent just a one-man show from doing this by himself or by herself. That's all I was suggesting. So how that looks, I don't know, 1 FTE, but I would really prefer that there were more employees, even if they're part-time. One employee, 10 hours a week for the entire year, or seasonally for 1. That's all.
That's the thing. It's not going to get monitored.
Yeah,
The reality of it is
the
it's
best
not
we
gonna
can
happen.
with compliance work too, but
Yeah,
we don't
we-
go out and verify that so-and-so still works at this business.
The business gives a W-2 every year.
They submit
It
a
ain't
report to
hard.
us.
Here's the W-2. Oh, this person works 72 hours.
But if you're
Cool.
not monitoring it, why are we sitting here going back and forth trying
Exactly.
to decide 2 or 1? If we're not gonna monitor, let's keep it real. if we're not going to monitor it.
Are you suggesting we don't monitor this?
No, what I'm saying is they submit a report every year, but we don't go out and actually verify if that person still works there. We basically are taking them for their word that they've got
Well, sure.
employees out
If
of
they submit a W-2 to you that lies to the federal government and we get
They're not
duped,
submitting a W-2.
all right.
They're writing down that I hired Johnny for 10 hours a week for 6 months. I think it just muddies the water.
I would humbly suggest, though, I don't know why we
The
couldn't
reality of it
accept-
is, I don't know that there's anybody that's truly working by themselves. I think they're all going to have some part-time element throughout the year.
And we're probably
It's
splitting hairs,
just,
so I can move on. It's all
is it
right.
going to equal half of
This is
employee or
why we
a
said two
third of
employees.
employee?
This is why we said two employees. Just
Maybe
makes
we
it clear,
should leave it
crisp.
at 2 employees for simplicity's sake. I mean, yes, we hear about that's an impediment to a few small business owners, but I think that is more simplistic than maybe. kind
Like
of
I said,
splitting this
I'd
up.
But
be
even
fine
with that,
with,
though, all they're saying is I had 2 full-time employees, right?
Right.
They're not proving it.
IEDA has them submit a report, like when they do their programs, and I would assume we could do the same thing, but you're right, it's probably not, Debbie Durham's not going down there to count heads. There's no way.
Every
But
fall,
they
every
have a-
October, we do get a report for this and the economic, the
Yeah.
TIF projects, basically, that they've paid their taxes, they've met their employee count. Sometimes they'll send a list of employees, but we're not going back out there and saying, okay, this person
Right.
still works here.
Technically, we have clawback, I think we have clawback provisions put in these programs, at least one of them, if not both, if they don't meet these requirements. So
Right.
we need to be monitoring for sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I have immediately have more concerns about lack of verification. I absolutely do now. Now that I really think about this, if what Kevin says is true, they just lie and say, no, we got 3 people working here. Okay, and there's not actually a federal verification via their Iowa tax returns or their federal tax returns. If it truly is what Kevin said, I have enormous concerns now. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not sure a business is gonna give us all the tax information of their employees.
I think we've got a program that's been working, we've been getting reports, I think we've got to stick to that, and I think we're making this more difficult than it is. Either we do 2 or 1, and then let's move on, or we do 2 for the one and 1 for the other. Let's just make a call, and then we're going to live with it, we're going to move on. If we need to change it, you guys will bring it back to us to amend the program.
Do we have more verification or less verification than, say, Debbie Durham does?
I'm not familiar with what Debbie Durham does. I mean, we do have a.
And I'm just using her as an example with the
I
Iowa
think
Economic
she
Development Board.
requires just the business to report on how many FTEs they have. and-
Can we have that be part of a prioritization? The more jobs you have, maybe you get a bump.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's in there.
That's
too.
already baked.
Well, see,
into
and
the
that was
program.
where I was coming from, where the state programs would have something like when we had, what was it? What program was that? High quality jobs, where it was like you had to have a certain amount of jobs that paid a certain wage. But you could also get in on the program if you had 0 jobs, but your capital investment had to be a significant
Yeah,
amount.
and just to touch on your point there, the scoring is set up, it's not an all or nothing. So if you come in, for example, without this discussion tonight, with only 2 jobs, you would get right now 1 point. However, if you have another business, so for example, I believe Mark Grimler down on Railroad Place, he was hiring like 10. He ended up with the maximum amount of points, which I believe are 5. So that's scaling and that scoring is already kind of in place for it. What we were bringing up is there were businesses that said, I can't even meet that lowest threshold to be scored at all. That's what this was kind of about. And frankly, all we're doing is just, again, reporting what we've heard. I don't even know if this is not a hill we would like to stand on either.
Right.
We're just bringing up what we've heard.
I'm just
from
looking at
folks
what you're saying, Brad, and I'm like, if that guy's coming to you, I'm not sure we should be financing that guy. To me, that guy's right about to go under.
Unless he's going to put in $1 million to help preserve the building, and he needs help to get it done.
And then that's also, the other thing is that how much, there's categories for how much. So if you're $100,000, $10,000, 20, it jumps up and you get more points for that as well too in the scoring criteria. So
This
that's
is the
baked in.
portion of the program where Loach usually calls it to question. So what are we at? Yeah, I know. Where are we at?
Well, we're on 3 here.
Okay, let's move on to 3. We got the answer already for 2.
All right. So,
Ed, what was the answer?
Annette's sitting it out. She's the only smart one of us.
So is it 2 for regulatory and 1 for property
Is
improvement?
that the way we ended? 2 for regulatory, 1 for? Is that where we ended?
I can go along like Councilman Lodes.
What?
Two for regulatory.
You guys have exhausted me. I think either, it probably doesn't matter. Because the scoring criteria is already prioritized.
True story. And if Kevin is right, it really doesn't matter. I'm fine with 2 and 1.
And there's other criteria that go into the final quote scoring anyhow,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
2 and 1, great.
All right, let's move on. 2 and 1. Next question.
all right.
Okay.
Next question is the participation increased from 35% to 50% of the total project cost.
Can we afford that?
I think the impact is going to be less projects awarded, but
It'll be a bigger bang.
significant projects that do get the award.
I like this. I like the 50%.
Fine with it. I'm fine with it.
I know it's less, but. That's fine.
Okay.
Wait, is this for both programs?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this is 50, this is to the.
For
effect where
PIF
the
and
city
RCF?
Can be more than 50% of the value of the project, right? Because we were worried at one point when we started this program that maybe the city, the building's worth 300 or 200,000 and the city's putting in 150, and it's like, that's more than 50% of the value of the property. That's what we're talking about here.
Well,
Right.
we're talking about, no.
No.
What we're talking about
50%
is.
of the project, project cost.
Basically the equity that the developer, in this case or the business, puts in as a match to the program. The assessed value thing, I would recommend that we take that out altogether, because I've seen buildings before Valley West Mall is assessed for $100 right now.
Right.
That shouldn't penalize somebody from taking advantage of this program that needs it, so.
But that was the discussion at the time, was that it was worried that we're going to put too much money in. We're putting in so much, the building's worth 200 and we're putting in 150.
I guess my recommendation is that we don't worry about that. We could have buildings that are assessed really low that need the help,
Which then would increase their value.
which would then increase the value if it's stabilized and occupied.
I like the greater leverage, actually. I like to see $1 in, or whatever you had, $1 in and $3 back.
ratio.
And what you're going to get to now is $1 in, $1 back.
Yeah, it's more of a one-to-one.
I prefer the bigger leverage. Tell me, this is coming from feedback. Did people just not take the money because of this? I mean, I get it. I want more, more
Put in less.
project.
More.
I want to put in, yeah, bingo. I mean, anybody would ask for this, but is it meaningfully having an impact on our ability to get projects done?
Well, there are a few that have backed out that basically, and from this last round too, that just couldn't go forward with the project, citing some of the costs that were out there. So again, this is just something that we're.
But are these the one-person shops that can't have another job added to?
No, one of them was 122 Fifth. But
So
I'm with
you know,
Matt. I
think
don't
it's-
know that you need to.
Yeah, it's twofold. I mean, it's
agree.
the issue that we're hearing with financing challenges, with construction costs that have elevated.
But the cost is going up for everybody.
It is.
It's not unique for that one individual or that building. And then, I used to be a banker many years ago, and there was an old saying, lend me $10,000 and I owe you. Lend me $10 million and you owe me. And so we go deeper and deeper into this, we're going to end up owning these things.
Well, and that's the thing we got to keep in mind. We're investing on behalf of our taxpayers.
Right.
We got to get the best bang for the buck possible, while at the same time helping these small businesses. And if we're starting to, move the needle in the area that, we're going to start putting money into business we shouldn't be investing in.
Yes.
That's
Just to
what's
be clear,
starting to
the
happen.
cap isn't changed. We're not proposing the cap changes.
What is the cap change? What is the cap right now?
75,000 per program per
Right,
applicant.
right.
Unless it's a historic building, then it goes up to 100.
But are we talking about the percentage of public dollars versus the total value of the project,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, what the owner of the business or the building is putting into the project versus what the city puts in, lowering that amount essentially.
But even still, that's not what they're going to spend. I have $100,000 repair to make, and so I apply for $50,000, well, no, I have a $300,000 repair to make, so I apply for the $100,000 for a historic building, right? I get the $100,000, but I'm still putting in an extra $200,000. Yeah, it's a 1-to-1 match, but it maxes out at $100,000. So there's your 2-to-1 match. Is that correct? Is that the 2-to-1?
That's correct. And what we're hearing is that for people to get funding for that from like lending institutions, it's becoming more of a challenge. So,
Yeah, but if you can't
But we still get
qualify
our
for a
2-to-1
loan,
leverage.
why should we give you money?
Yeah.
yeah, and that's fair.
Bank of West.
That's why we asked the question.
No.
I'd say keep it there. I'd leave it alone.
Yep. Moving on.
All right.
This was all the stuff we were trying to balance
That's all right.
the first time.
All right, and then as far as the timeline itself, again, to recap that, businesses are having some challenges kind of understanding our processes. It's taking them a little bit longer than 12 months.
I'll go first on this one. I'm happy with moving it to 18 or 24.
Agreed.
Got it.
Agreed. 18 months.
I think 18 makes sense. I don't know that 24.
18?
When's the clock start on that anyway?
Once they get their building permit.
All right.
So they have already applied, they've already gone through a lot of the city process? And then we're going to give them,
I misspoke.
okay,
I misspoke. It's from the, it's the development agreement. I'm sorry.
okay,
It's when they sign the development agreement.
okay, all right. Yeah,
That's a big
I like 18
all good.
months.
Yeah.
That's the easiest one yet.
For number 5, I actually like this one a lot because, you know, you want to be a good neighbor for everybody, and if somebody's going to do this, and it will have impact. I mean, if you go down to Valley Junction, all that stuff that's been done has impacted everybody down there. And so I think having criteria for this, because all you're talking about is adding some scoring criteria or some extra points in the due diligence process, I think it's a great idea.
At the risk of being diametrically opposed to my council colleague, tell me where I'm a little off here. But in fact, it's the second bullet point. I was going to say this exact same thing. St. Kilda's not a long-term property owner. Bixen Co., not a long-term. And Winchester's not long-term. We hold them up as successes. And what we're saying is they would be lower ranked in future projects because they weren't there for a long time. Maybe I'm misunderstanding.
No, that's
Actually, they don't own those
That was not how I
Yeah,
understood it.
Those are all rentals, right?
Yeah, that's
Not
not the.
tenants within a building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's-
so,
They don't own
That's not the
anything.
question, that's not the question at hand with this.
Okay.
That it's, the more the question is that, do you prioritize buildings that are going to spark and inspire people as opposed to just so to kind of make it a little bit simpler, so would we prefer to have something more like the Winchester and put investment in that, or somebody that comes in and say, we want to do landscaping and maintenance on our parking lot?
okay. Was there a program in here where you said we want to have you be having maybe owned longer than, you know, the duration of ownership?
I did say that one of the scoring criteria is that you can get an extra 2 points if you are a business that have operated there for more than 5 years or something.
Okay,
like that.
whatever one was that 5?
That's not a change.
It's
That's
not
in
a
there
change.
today.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
currently there.
And I think
All right.
that was put in there as a result of new investors coming in and utilizing these funds basically, and longtime businesses couldn't have access to it. So
Yeah, okay.
we're not proposing to change that.
Yeah, my apologies, I was going a mile a minute there.
All right, fair enough. Then, yes, I agree. If we can get more of these projects, we ought to.
Yep.
So I come back around, Doug, I'm all the way back.
Okay.
And I disagree, because I think all you're going to do is you're going to end up getting a lot more of the new buildings down there.
Call the question.
It was not a motion. You're out of order. And your example of, you know, inspiring with, you know, and then a landscape company, that is so one extreme to the other, so that didn't even make sense. Again, if we're looking at some of these historic buildings, are they gonna, what's the definition of inspire? There's some people that think it's cool as hell that we're retaining the old buildings. And then there's others that say, bulldoze the son of a bitch and build brand new. New looks better. And so that's gonna inspire people
So
I-
I would say this is the most subjective piece of the scoring criteria, and that's by design, but you have to trust the due diligence committee that's been put together. And then you've got the ability to review the recommendations of that committee before you vote on it too.
And I will,
You
I
got
will
design
also,
criteria, and you also have incentives for historic buildings that they cannot just get 75 and 75 out of each, but 100 and 100 out of these things, right? Like, I mean,
That's
they're,
the max.
Not if that doesn't inspire
well,
and create momentum.
and I think that one of the kind of core points of this program is to preserve. And so that's kind of baked in there a little bit. I will admit right now, we don't have something and say, you know, what is the definition of inspire? But the program has already given priorities to, you know, to preserve properties. We have the Winchester that kind of occurred. We had KCL. Those processes through our scoring criteria have rise to the top. What we're proposing in this situation is to hone in on that special sauce and to just make it clearer when somebody apply that that's what we're looking for. And please don't come in with your maintenance on a parking lot.
Which we have had. I mean, so I really don't know.
I
if
get
it-
that.
oh no, we had it.
So is Kevin, I like what Kevin's saying about making sure we keep the historic. So this will be the last thing I say. We have two really, really different things. Bix and Company, 100% so happy that happened. I think that was fantastic. And it's a synergistic investment. Winchester, same thing, but the Winchester kept the historic, but just improved it. I think the Winchester is the model for what we do in Valley Junction. So if we can really encourage that synergistic investment in Winchester type products. Now Bix was different because the first building there, it looks so much better than it ever did right now. So that was synergistic. But if we give that boost, and I think, Brad, you were kind of mentioning that, if you get that special sauce of improving an existing property like the Winchester, give it that extra boost, I'm here. But it is subjective, and so we're just doing what we can. So,
But again, you
Has
got
to be. Go
you
ahead.
got to keep in mind that we're talking about expanding this. I think we've already decided we're expanding it up to Grand Avenue, right?
Right.
Okay, so you got to kind of forget the Valley Junction of it and look at these other areas. And I'm going to go back to one thing you said, Ryan. When Matt brought up about the vacuum cleaner place at 9th and Grand, he said, well, I might consider that a historic building. I would like to point out that that is a concrete block building, no different than the building that predated Bix and Company. And everybody said, well, there's nothing historic about that. It's just a goddamn concrete block building. So either you've got historic concrete block building or you don't. Just wanted to point that out. They're both concrete block buildings.
The guy's an elephant.
Vacuum cleaner store. I can't believe I brought up the.
But just to
Better watch
clarify,
what you say on this dais.
there always will be a scoring bonus for properties that are deemed historic and on the National Register.
As long as they're not made of
Those-
concrete block.
And that's, I think we're all the way through it unless there's more discussion, so.
That's great.
No.
And actually, just to,
Now I'm gonna stay here.
And we've ridden out the storm, so we're good to go.
All right, anything else for the good of the order before we adjourn?
no, that's all. Thank you
All
guys
right,
very much.
thank you guys for walking us
Appreciate
through
the
that and for
conversation.
putting up with us. Thank you, everybody, for the great discussion.